almost kind of ended up it almost kind of ended up it almost kind of ended up it almost kind of ended up
Now it should
Now
be
we're
working.
capturing. Okay. Why don't we backtrack?
Okay. Okay, yeah. We're going to be hearing that like 3 times because I have a bunch of tabs open with our stuff.
Yeah, let's close those out.
Well,
just mute them.
We did it again.
Oops.
We did it again. Oops, I did it again. Thank you, Tajira. Without you, we would have spent the next 2 hours talking to ourselves without a recording.
Oh, that would have been cringeworthy.
I can't wait for that upgrade.
Do we
So,
want to go
I'm
over...
going to start over. So hello, everyone, and welcome to Push to Talk, a weekly show for gamers and non-gamers alike that aims to answer your questions concerning relationships and mental health. Listener participation is crucial given our format, so if anyone has a topic they'd like us to talk about or a specific question for us, we encourage you to post that in our Twitch stream at www.twitch.tv/pushtotalkradio or email us at pushtotalkradio@gmail.com.
Please do that.
Please. I'm your host, Anthony Delasio, a registered psychotherapist, and joining me this week are my co-hosts.
Alex Prinzios, the resident boss ass bitch and not a registered psychotherapist.
And
Zachary Kruger. I'm also a registered psychotherapist and a big gamer.
And we are 3 master's candidates for clinical mental health counseling in beautiful Boulder, Colorado.
That's right.
And
Master candidates 3 are we.
yes. And before our realization that the mic wasn't on again,
We got some gentle feedback from Tajira. She could have just been like, your sound's not working.
yeah,
She delivered that in a very gentle way.
I don't think your sound is working.
And we took that feedback and we said thank you and we made an adjustment.
Look at that.
It's amazing.
And I think what we were talking about is sort of openness. And Zach was sharing that on the last show, he had a moment where he realized that he was sort of vulnerable in that moment. And I'm wondering how you would phrase it. How would you phrase it?
I realized in the moment that the information that I was sharing was actually quite revealing.
Uh-huh.
And I wasn't explicit about it.
Okay.
And there's a good chance that people have no idea what I may have revealed. But there was a moment of feeling like, oh, there are some people that are going to hear me saying this, and then they're going to maybe make some assumptions.
Okay.
And then that was that moment of just feeling like, I don't know if I want to be that vulnerable in this format.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. This actually came up today in my supervision group around, you know, as therapists or people in the field of psychology generally, I would say
Helping professions.
the helping professions, there's a bias that openness is good and healthy and all these things. And you could, on some level, make an argument based on differentiation, which I've actually been doing some more reading, by the way.
I don't know what you mean.
I'm moving away from the Bruce Tift hammer
Oh.
and going into the differentiation model generally.
As a hammer still.
Okay.
Still as a hammer,
But what do you
definitely.
mean by differentiation?
Well, I guess it doesn't necessarily necessitate closeness, but what I'm getting from this book, David Schnarch is the guy's name. And he talks about relationships as a way to grow up, essentially. And that he calls it a marriage. He talks about marriage, but he says it applies to all relationships. And he says something like, a marriage is a human growth vehicle.
A human growth vehicle.
Yeah. And on some level, our ability to self-soothe will determine, on some level, our growth in a relationship.
But isn't the growth the ability to self-soothe? Aren't you growing towards that or something?
Right. So I think what he would say is that we're sort of always bumping up. Like that's the work basically. So obviously you have to like get to a point where you know how to self-soothe. But it's a lot like what you were saying last week, I think, around, or was it 2 shows ago, where you feel something in a moment and you just talk to that little Alex and you tell her everything's going to be okay. This is a lot of the talk that he talks about. And he doesn't, I don't think he says that you shouldn't use your partner to help yourself regulate, but on some level, I think he thinks the goal is that the ideal would be self-soothing, essentially.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
The goal in a relationship in terms of personal growth is self-soothing. Yeah, that makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
I'm on board with that too, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's great to have a partner that can help you regulate.
Right.
And that's great when you get blown out and you're no longer able to regulate.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, like, you know, we should be able to handle the minor shit on our own.
Yeah.
And otherwise, I feel like you might be codependent.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're
Yeah.
relying on someone else to soothe you in an unhealthy way.
But granted, it's great when you have a partner that knows how you like to be soothed, so that when you get some like horrible news, you don't have to face it alone, and your partner knows, like, okay, you know, let's get some pasta in here or whatever the soothing thing is, right?
Right.
But, you know, if you're just having a tough day, you know, with just normal shit, like, you should be able to handle
Or
it.
like if they make an offhand comment or something and then it like triggers you so hard that you're like, how could you do that to me? And meanwhile they're just like not even,
Uh-huh.
you know.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
And I want to emphasize, I think, what I said specifically around the goal. Sort of, that sort of lays out the path. Necessarily.
Right,
I don't think
okay.
he thinks that you shouldn't do that if that's something that you sort of rely on, and the tension there is sort of maybe getting to the place of self-soothing. And
Mhm.
he actually claims that, I mean, the book that this is written in is called Passionate Marriage. It's about, I mean, he claims that doing this will open up your sex life in your marriage. Like, basically, he thinks that on some level, or at least through his observations, he's seen that couples, when they, you know, the stereotype is old married couple has sex like every 3 months or something. They're both kind of unhappy about their sex life, but they don't know what to do about it and everything. He claims that by setting your partner up as the person that needs to sort of take care of you or act in a way that doesn't trigger you, that it creates a bubble around your relationship essentially, and it just deadens it. He gave the example of if you're at a restaurant, like a sort of swanky restaurant or something, you can tell the new couples because they're sitting there, they're like holding hands and talking to each other all sweetly and everything, and you know the like long married couple because they're not even talking to each other. They're just kind of like looking around or whatever. And he thinks that on some level, this assumption that our partners are there to make us feel good is what causes the passion to sort of get sucked out of a relationship.
That's paradoxical.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't you think it would be the other way?
Well, yeah, but in so many things in life are like backfire like that, don't they?
Yeah.
But
And it's just a theory, something I'm posing.
well, something that guy's posing.
And I'm buying into right now.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying it on.
Okay. Well, what I'm wondering, I don't know if this is exactly related, but I'm wondering, like, right now I feel like I'm not happy single. Like, I feel like I'd be a lot happier if I had a guy that I was really into, obviously. And now I'm wondering, like, am I just supposed to, like, kind of ride the wave, like, when I'm not with someone, just kind of, like, you know, go with that feeling of sadness or whatever, or am I supposed to somehow change myself so that I'm more happy single? And if that's the case, how does one do that?
I honestly think they're the same thing.
Really? Oh, interesting.
Like, riding out that will create the change.
Say more.
I can't remember how. Yeah, I lost the words, but something around like,
You got this, Zach.
do you get more comfortable with being single? No, the first thing was, do I just ride it out and be there with the sadness, or do you just get comfortable with being single
And like become happier somehow.
and somehow become happier with that?
Yeah.
And that's what I think. So being with the sadness and the loneliness and tolerating that will make you happier single. And there's a good chance that you're more likely going to find a partner that you vibe with because you're going to be more secure in yourself. So you're going to be showing up more as your authentic self. So the person that you meet is going to see more of your authentic self. Otherwise, I think if you're, anyone is just like kind of throwing themselves out there and taking what they can get, they're not going to be happy. And that's, I think, how that ambivalent wave structure gets formed, because you just throw yourself at someone and they solve everything, but then you realize that they totally don't fucking see you in all the ways you want to be seen. And then now you're in this push-pull, like, oh, I really want to be close. Oh, but you're really not that good. Oh, but I don't want to be alone, so I want to be close to you. Oh, but you're actually not that good, so I want to go be alone, but I don't want to. And then,
Yeah, I like that.
There's a theory that Dan Siegel just put out in his most recent book, and I'm a big fan of Dan Siegel's work. Does a lot of stuff with neuroscience and mindfulness.
Mind, what is it called?
I can't remember the title, and to be honest, it might not even be published yet. But he's got this new working theory that emotion, the experience of having an emotion, is a side effect of the integration of parts within you.
Can you expand
Wait,
on
say that one more time.
That emotion, and he doesn't say what kind, but I'm guessing that he means a negative emotion or like an afflicted emotion, a term I like to use. That experience of having an emotion is the side effect of the integration of internal parts. So when you have internal tension and you're integrating those parts, that's emotion.
Is there an example that he gives at any point? Like, I just can't wrap my mind around this.
So maybe if something is so I'm
Go for it.
totally you're making this
It's
up.
intuitive, so
Yeah, I'm wondering if because I think we learned this with our Buddhist stuff, that on some level a trauma or something that triggers us because we haven't integrated that thing. And on some level, each time that comes up, it's our body's trying to integrate that.
Yeah.
And that he's saying that on some level, we are consciously or unconsciously blocking the ability for that emotion to integrate within ourselves. Is that what?
Yeah, I think that's pretty close. I mean, I'm not a total expert on exactly what that means, but the way I hear it is really similar. I'm thinking of a scenario where, something bad happens, whatever, your tire's flat, and like sometimes it's a big deal and sometimes it's not a big deal, right? So what's the difference between when something is going to bother you and when something's not going to bother you? And what I hear from this idea is that if the parts of you are integrated, then you're not going to have this upheaval of emotion.
What does it mean if your parts are integrated?
So there's different parts within all of us.
I also want to add to that and say that I want to unpack bothered, because I don't.
Sure.
On some level, I don't think he is saying that it's not going to be an uncomfortable experience.
Maybe not. Maybe I think actually he is saying it won't be uncomfortable.
Really?
At least partly.
Okay.
So different parts. There's the adult you, and then there's the child you that you sometimes talk to, right? There's different parts. So when you talk about when something happens and it triggers the child in you to react, that's your child part, and then you have your adult part saying, "Okay, you're cool." So those are different parts of you integrating.
They're integrating by interacting with each other?
Yes. So and this comes from.
Ted Gere gives the example of someone that's had a flat tire versus someone who hasn't had a flat tire. the more flat tires you get, the more likely it is to not be a big deal when you get one, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's a good
Depending on
analogy.
how you saw your last couple flat tires.
I think it
guess.
can even translate to other things, like maybe you've never had a flat tire before, but you've been in a ton of other circumstances that require
Mhm.
a similar sort of whatever, so you're able to roll with that new scenario. Or maybe you've had a ton of flat tires, but your car's never overheated,
Mhm.
so your car overheats and you can tolerate that, whatever, because you've had these other experiences. So, I mean, this is getting pretty heady, but if you buy into the idea that, we all have internal parts, which comes from Gestalt therapy, and if you also buy into the idea that everything we see, everything that we see as the external world is really a projection of our own mind.
Mm.
So, right, we can unpack that forever, but let's just assume that's the case. Then when someone offends you or hurts you, in essence, it's like it's still all in your own mind. So
Mhm.
so it's like I'm not doing the most articulate job.
So if someone calls me a bitch
Yeah.
and I get super offended.
Yeah.
And so there's a part of me that's
There's a part of you that rejects being a bitch.
Yeah.
Right.
And maybe that there's like a larger part that's like, oh, it doesn't matter what that person thinks.
Right. And maybe there's a part of you that could be like, you're right, I am being a bitch.
Yeah.
And then there's no emotional upheaval.
Really? There wouldn't
Well-
Maybe, maybe not. I'm just saying theoretically,
Oh.
if we were arguing and I was like, you're being a bitch, and you just owned it and you're like, you're right, I'm being a bitch, you might just be more comfortable owning that label. Maybe-
Yeah.
This is where I want one of the Buddhist bells.
Okay.
We got to get this hooked
Okay.
up. I don't
Yeah.
know. Do either of you have a singing bowl?
I have one.
Because
can
I want to
bring
say
it. Yeah.
prajna right now.
Prajna.
Because I think part of being vulnerable when someone calls you a bitch, for instance, in this case, right,
Mhm.
opens you up to feeling what that's like, and then suddenly realizing that that person might be suffering.
Mhm.
But
So
what does this have
it-
to do with the integration thing and the negative emotions?
Because if you access a part of you that you reject, there's going to be an emotional upheaval.
And Alex is the fucking boss bitch, so
Yeah.
she wouldn't have a problem with somebody calling her that.
Let's not test it out.
I mean, here's like an example with like the dishes in the sink. Remember, it's never about the dishes. We already established that last time.
Uh-huh.
But
It's never about the toilet seat.
it's never about the toilet seat. But when my roommates are like, yo, you're leaving the kitchen dirty.
Mhm.
Okay. I could do like what I've done in the past would be like, well, you leave your dishes there all the time. Like, what the
Uh-huh.
heck? Like, okay. And now I'm upset because I'm being accused of being a dirty dish leaver.
Mhm.
Okay. But if I'm just real with the situation, I'm like, yeah, I haven't done the dishes in a few weeks. So I'm sorry. Let me get on that. Or whatever. And the difference for me is that when I can own, like, you're right, I haven't done the dishes. That's part of our agreement and I broke it. Then it's much easier for me just to accept that and not be upset. But when I get into the mode of like, oh, that's not true about me, I'm going to defend against that,
Huh.
then I start getting upset. So,
Tajir says, but it is about the damn dirty dishes, Zach.
well, sometimes it is about the dishes. I mean, yeah.
Right, because after you acknowledge that, then it still is about the dishes.
Right. Then it, right. Well,
Once the blame
actually,
game gets halted.
that's really freaking wise what Tedra is pointing out, because it is about the dishes. It's not about me as a dirty dish leaver,
Uh-huh.
but I can make it about me.
Right.
But if I can just acknowledge, you're right, I haven't done the dishes. It's not even about me as an individual anymore. And I can just look and be like, yes, dishes weren't done. Just like if someone were to call you a bitch, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be that. But if you're like, oh yeah, I just kind of snapped at you and ran my mouth a bit, it's like, I could see that. Like I did do that. But when we get into the mode of like, well, I was right and I was justified in this and that, like, that's whenever I've done that process, that's all. There's always been some conflict. I always know I'm kind of bullshitting when I'm doing that. even when I'm justified, I'm still like, yeah, and I'm kind of being a jerk right now.
Right, right.
But sorry, Siegel said that emotions are created, right, by the integration of parts.
Mm-hmm.
So that seems to me like negative afflictive emotions like sadness
Mm-hmm.
or anger
Mm-hmm.
are created by the integration of parts. That seems like the opposite of what we're saying.
I think maybe how I'm hearing it anyway, and this could just be me translating it to fit my
Mhm.
current beliefs, is that one, I think what I hear Zach saying about the emotions piece is not emotions in the sort of common vernacular of emotion,
Yeah,
One.
probably not.
where in this case an emotion would literally be an emoting of a negative emotion,
Yeah.
or a blame, shame, guilting.
Or like an active kind of thing.
Yeah. I don't think it's
Well, yeah.
necessarily the feeling itself, but our attempts to make that feeling go away. And it's sort of only when we either don't make an attempt to make that thing go away, the cause of our anger or suffering or whatever, that the integration happens.
But
So it's attempting to integrate, and so that emotion comes up, like we want to react to it because it's attempting to integrate, and then we just like stop the process.
Or even I think it's possible that even the process of actually integration
Oh,
yields emotion.
okay.
It's kind of like smoke and fire, however you want to put it. Like two energies are coming together in some reaction, two parts are joining, and then the emotion, is the eruption. And then if you can tolerate that emotion, I think you have a chance of integrating those parts. If you can't tolerate that emotion, you probably
interesting.
start blaming or shaming or internalizing or pretending like it's not even happening
I see.
or doing something that blocks that process. And what's going to happen is something else, I think, later is going to re-trigger that. And then here's another opportunity to actually allow that integration process to happen.
Yeah.
And granted, I haven't read thoroughly what Dan Siegel means by that, but that totally struck me. And I'm wondering, how did we get on this? Do you remember how we got here?
I recapped what your first sort of intro was to the show, which was talking about vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
And then I talked about how this came up in my
Perfect.
supervision group this week around this assumption that we hold that openness is good.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm starting to not buy that so much, honestly.
Yeah,
Like,
I think
you need a balance.
Mm-hmm.
And the assumption that when somebody is sort of either closed up or just not as open as you want, it's more about you. And I think on some level I've been internalizing this at this little Naropa trip that we've been on for the last 2 years.
Yeah, I think I have too, really.
Yeah. Reading the chat here. Yeah, Tajira's talking about projection, and sometimes people interpret things differently based on how they see it. Like
Yeah.
it's always coming from our point of views.
Mm-hmm. And Buddhist philosophy would say that that's not just sometimes true, but that's 99.9% of the time true.
Right.
Or
And-
100.
Or I think even Buddhism would allow for some moments of direct experience
Uh-huh.
when you can when true prajna arises. But for the most part, we're all just watching a movie.
Any
that we're projecting.
conceptual.
Rusman just says perception is reality.
Perception is reality. Russ and I were actually having a conversation about this topic. I don't know if you remember, Russ, but this was on the Friendcation up at the lake in Washington when we were talking about someone getting shot by a gun, and you were challenging this whole notion of perception. You and Owen were both saying, like, dude, if someone shoots me with a gun, I get shot. That's not just in my mind. And this is true.
The difference between like what's physically happening and how you interpret it and make meaning of it and perceive it even is
Mhm.
different.
Mm-hmm. I would totally agree. That was my argument at the time. So,
So I'm wondering if I've got a couple of these articles pulled up.
All right.
I've got a couple of the Reddit threads pulled up, and I'm
Cool.
wondering if we should start this Dark Souls action.
I think we should start this Dark Souls
All right,
action.
so I'm gonna read the first Reddit post that I've got pulled up here.
Okay.
Ah, she removed the text.
I know. I saw that too. I have
Oh,
one.
why does this always happen?
I have one.
They can sense that.
Do you still have it?
Invade
I
their
don't have
minds.
that one, but I have
Yeah,
another
pull one up.
Okay.
What we're gonna have to do from now on is copy and paste it because I think it automatically gets removed when the question is answered.
Really?
Interesting.
That doesn't make any
Remember
sense.
that happened midstream last time?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, so how do I, 26 female, ask father-in-law to stop kissing me on the lips?
Wow, how old's the father-in-law?
It doesn't say.
Too old.
What are the
It's
details?
just-
The in-laws are in town
Ugh.
and they are nice people. However, my father-in-law kisses me on the lips every time he sees me. I hate this. I will not even share a drink with anyone but my husband because I do not like germs. One time I tried to just move my face to the side so he could kiss my cheek and he made a comment about how that is not how you kiss. He has a mustache and smokes cigarettes, which makes it even more unbearable. I'm a very non-confrontational person by nature, so this is stressing me out. Oops, my mom's calling me. Decline.
Hi, Mom.
Sorry, Mom.
My mother and sister are coming to town next weekend and now scared that they will be kissed on the lips. I need to sort this out before then. It would be more awkward if I had my husband say something to him. I know that I need to set boundaries on my own. Can someone help me with how to go about doing this? What do I say? Advice greatly appreciated.
Well,
It's a
So let's
tough
take that one in. Now I want to be aware that I'm wanting to go straight to the fourth karma on this one. And sort of destroy this. But I wanna acknowledge that and then say that yeah, this can be a really
should we use the 4 karmas?
this is a really like awkward situation, right?
It's super awkward.
So let's get
Let's get Dark Souls.
let's get Dark Souls going here. And
I'm just curious
try
about
to answer this question.
how the
Can you move
husband
the mouse
fits
into this
into all
window?
this.
In the age of ancients, the world was unformed, shrouded by fog.
Can anyone? Oh, did this get unplugged? Maybe. No.
No, it's coming through.
I have no idea what's going wrong.
Ah, shit.
Sound now. Yay!
Sound now. We have sound now.
Sound now?
You just had to unplug it and replug
No,
it.
I don't think it's coming. I don't think.
She says sound
Oh, yeah,
now.
there you go. We got it. When you swap back to the overlay.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But when the game went full screen, I couldn't.
All right. So we're gonna switch it again and let us know if it if that happens again.
Okay.
All right. I think
we
it's
got
working now.
it. Yeah, we got it. All right.
At least I hope it is.
Okay. I'm gonna do this. All right. And the Land of Lordaeron.
Okay, so the whole kissing on the lips. Damn, that sucks.
Okay, she can hear us. Yeah, what the fuck? Like, especially, so I want to say that for the like maybe there's some cultural stuff going on with the stepdad. I mean, the guy could be like a total creeper, right? And it sounds like
That's not how you kiss. That's a creepy thing.
to your fucking father-in-law,
To your daughter-in-law.
daughter-in-law, yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
And whatever vibes she must be giving off of being uncomfortable every time she like
Check
meets this
out.
dude,
Watch this,
basically.
ready? Watch this, ready?
It's gotten to the point where her whole
Holy crap. No thanks.
it's gotten to the point where her whole family is concerned that they're gonna get a fucking smooch from this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. What does the husband say? I think Tajira asked that too.
Yeah, what does he say? Was it on the post?
No.
And is there any way to put sound in this
But
game?
it sounds like she.
Well, you need to go to the settings. Ooh.
Uh,
Can you do that? Or are you being chased right now? Go to...
I don't think there are any audio settings.
Yeah, go to RB or whatever.
Nope.
What? Wait, go to options. Sound.
Sound is on.
Oh, man, I don't know. Maybe it's one or the other today.
Oh well. We can
Yeah.
do it. We can do it with no sound. We're not missing too much.
Yeah, no, it sounds like she doesn't want to get her husband involved.
Yeah, she said specifically, I want to take care of this on my own, kind of.
So maybe she hasn't even mentioned it to her husband.
Oh, that's a good point.
I mean, what's so wrong about just saying, like, dude, I don't kiss on the lips?
Yeah. So
'Cause he's already been doing it.
So you say I'm not into this.
So if she knows, I mean, this is an adult. How old is she?
Let me pull that up. 26.
26. So maybe the question is more, how do I work with the anxiety and resistance that comes up to putting myself in this awkward position by talking to my father-in-law this way? Because she knows that the way to do this is just say, hey, I don't want to kiss you.
Yeah. So
Or-
she tried to give him the cheek, and then
Right, yeah,
he was
she
like,
even
"That's not
gave
how
it a
to do
shot, right?
Yeah.
Very clear this guy wants lip-on-lip
He
action.
wants- yeah, it's,
Well,
it's
fuck.
fucking weird.
Yeah,
You're right. I mean, all she can say is just I'm not into it.
yeah.
And so I guess she just doesn't want to feel the feelings that come along
Yeah.
with that.
I mean, has she tried just being like, I have herpes? Can you lie your way out of this one?
All right. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna contract a cold sore.
The best way to do that is
Well, the husband will be happy. Well, yeah. So, if she's looking for advice on how to do this delicately, I would totally do this. I'd pull him to the side. I would first of all let my husband know.
Totally, I would start there for sure.
Yeah, I would probably say what she said, like, hey, I want you to know that this is going on. It makes me super uncomfortable, and I want to take care of this on my own. I'm just taking time to figure out how I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I would pull the guy aside. I wouldn't do it in public.
oh,
'Cause-
with the father-in-law, don't do it in public.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
I
good
would say,
call.
hey, maybe go get. I don't know if you're in the same city. Maybe go get coffee. Do it face to face if you can, or on a phone call. Please, for the love of God, don't do it over text because
Yeah,
I think
don't do it
that's
over
just a recipe for disaster.
And if you do it in front of other people, you might embarrass this guy real bad.
Right? He might have a reaction to.
Which isn't your problem, but it might not.
It's not.
But
And-
it'll make
Yeah,
it
but
harder
you
for
want to
to
set
get what
yourself
want.
up for
Yeah.
for success here.
Another good thing is to like start with some kind of like, you know, I really value our relationship. I really love being around you, and I want to be like as open as possible because that's how I want our relationship to be.
Well,
because
if
I love
that's what
you.
she wants.
Well, I'm saying what I'm saying is
Sorry.
start with a positive and be
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I you know, really value our relationship and I want to be honest with you, and that's just not the kissing on the lips is just not really the way I operate, but I really want to.
You're talking about a shit sandwich.
Yeah. You're giving
totally.
you're giving this dude a compliment sandwich.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I feel like that works really well. If
Totally.
you start off by saying I really value our relationship and I want to be honest with you because of how much I value our relationship, like that softens the blow so
Yeah.
hard.
Hold on, wait. I have to interrupt. Did you hit that guy, and before he died, he fell off the cliff.
That's right.
That was pretty cool.
So
For those of y'all that are watching this and that love this game, I don't think Alex or I have seen this before.
no,
I saw Zach play for like 20 minutes one night, but I don't know this game whatsoever.
it's
But I
amazing.
know the
This
internet
is like pretty high
raves
tech.
about it.
It's much cooler than Diablo.
You think so?
This is like a super old
Definitely.
game, right?
This is
2012, I think.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah.
Dark Souls 1?
2009.
Yeah, 09 sounds right.
Yeah, 2000.
Where is the virtual reality? Where
I
is
can't
that?
afford it.
No, but like, why? What's taking so long?
We have
It's
it.
here, yeah.
It's here.
It's here, but why isn't it here? Like,
We just don't own
It costs a lot of money.
But
It doesn't
why
even
does
like
it
$300
cost-
for an Oculus.
3? It's more than
I
that.
think three.
The
isn't
new
it?
one they came out with is 3, and that's like the light version. It's like $700.
There's
for
a
the
lot
whole
of
kit.
mixed reviews on how fun those games are anyway. To be
Right.
honest.
A lot of
why?
a lot of it is development, really.
Okay.
So
Russell says in Seattle. It's true. One of our good friends works for, not Oculus, the other company though. He's like the freaking creative director for the company that competes with Oculus.
holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean HTC Vive?
Is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah. They're partnered with Steam actually. So yeah, it's here. There's like stuff to do, and a couple games got really good reviews. Like there's this one where you're in the Star Trek Enterprise, and you're in the control room, like the what do they call that?
Control room.
Is it control room?
I don't know.
It's like the Zach, help me out here.
The bridge?
Yeah, the bridge. You're in the bridge, and you have a role. Each of you have a role to control the ship and complete a mission. And you look around, and you're looking at the other people, like multiplayer style, and you have to like talk to them and stuff. And when you talk, the mouth moves and stuff. And
Whoa, that's so cool.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't that more
And
popular?
when you move your arms, the fucking arms move in the thing, and you have to like hit the buttons on the screen and talk to each other and work together and stuff.
Well, it's hella expensive, like to get this whole setup.
Yeah.
And the Oculus is good. What's the other one called? The HTC?
The Vive.
The Vive, yeah. The Vive is better than the Oculus because the Vive actually has motion sensor. So with the
Oculus has them now.
Oculus has them.
They
now
came
too.
out this past year, yeah.
So for the Vive to work though, you put on the headset, and then you need like an empty room so you can move around inside the room. So it's not like you can just bust this out in the living room and do it, because like you're trying to play virtual reality games, and
Right. Most people need a dedicated space for
yeah,
this.
you need to be pretty well off to make it work.
But really quickly, I want to return to this so you don't have to do a lot of editing when we respond to this question.
Sure.
But yeah. So Alex's advice is to do a compliment sandwich, pull them aside, kind of like I was saying,
Yeah.
or what?
Yeah.
Just do it at the next family gathering, or what?
Yeah, I would probably not like schedule its own meetup, especially because who knows how maybe she doesn't even really like him and they just like hang out as a group.
Yeah, sure.
But maybe like the next time they're all together, she can like, you know, just catch him when he's like kind of away from everyone else.
Yeah.
Russ and there also brought up that she also doesn't want this guy kissing her family. So it's like that conversation's got to happen before the whole family.
Right. So a phone call, I would say, is if you want to maintain a relationship with this guy, and like be clear about it, and like just say, hey, I'm going to be open and communicate with you or whatever, then like do it as personal as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go from like meeting at a coffee shop to video chat to phone call.
Video chat.
Yeah, I wouldn't do text though, because this could be misconstrued big time over text. I think that spells. I think that's problematic.
I don't have such a strong reaction as you.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's just my advice.
Mm-hmm. But I also like the point that you said that maybe she can look at how afraid she is of feeling those emotions.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge, right?
Yeah, she just needs. It sounds like she needs a little push, and maybe even just telling her boyfriend
Husband.
that, or her husband that, and saying, "Hey, I want to work on this on my own." Maybe naturally he'll just be like, "Well, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I support
and-
you."
and
If
I
she
just
knows
wanna-
she's got some support, it could be really helpful.
It sounds like you maybe don't need to hear this, but it's weird. It's weird that
Yeah.
he's kissing you on the lips.
Right.
You have every right to tell him not to do that. So, fully behind you there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do feel like maybe it's a cultural thing. Like
Uh-huh.
I am not sure which cultures, but
I think the culture of the mustache, cigarette smoking creeper dude.
I want to say like a southern United States thing. I don't know where I'm getting that from.
Well, I will say too, like my ancestors on my father's side are Italian, and a lot of my family members are like fucking Italian. And when you meet them, they give you like the kisses on the cheeks and
But
stuff.
not on the lips.
Sometimes,
Really?
yeah, I kissed my grandmother on the lips.
Oh, see, there you go.
Yeah,
It's not that out of the ordinary.
right, and
I don't know. In this day and
what
age,
can-
that's
what
a
can-
pretty uncommon practice.
it is super uncommon. I'm just wanting to say like. I don't want to pathologize this guy immediately into being some
Yeah.
fucking creeper.
It's true.
What's weird is that you gave him the cheek and then
He said
Yeah.
that's not
like whatever signs you're putting off non-verbally, this guy isn't picking up for whatever reason. So it's time to move on to being explicit, I think.
And it's not even like it's his kid, which is one thing, but it's like his kid's wife.
Right.
What are the? Can we read the chat log here? Are we? I just see some
Please
stuff.
don't greet me or my family by kissing me on the lips. That's, that's pretty good. Pretty black and white to me.
Yeah,
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, straightforward.
I like
Yeah,
it.
I like that. We do the kiss on the cheek and a hug. That's just how we do it.
Yeah.
That's how we do it.
And was that a Reddit post?
Yeah.
Can you pull it up? I'm curious what the
What they're saying.
yes, what are the answers? Because I have a feeling we're gonna disagree with some people here.
First answer, make the damn confrontation already.
Oh.
No kisses, father-in-law. Shield your face if you need to. No cheek shot. You already know he won't respect that. No communicable disease excuse. Just say no. Tell your husband that's what's going to happen this time and that he needs to back you up on it. And then if he's a half-decent
Well,
human,
he doesn't need
he
to.
better
back
as
it up.
fuck step in to back you up. He kind of, I mean...
He can do what he wants. Differentiation.
A lot of times you can just use the environment to kill people in this game. Oh, it didn't even die. He just
Did he just fall down
Fall
to
onto
another
that-
tier? Now he's gonna
that-
run up to you.
no.
Or
There's
he's
no.
trying.
He's on an inaccessible ledge.
Leave him there forever. We'll log into this game 5 years from now, and he'll still be running.
Yeah.
What are some of the other answers? It's not a good face over there.
You're not really going to get the answer you want because the best answer is to just tell him no. There's no
Right.
magic thing to do, and he doesn't seem to pick up social cues very well.
Oh my god, I haven't missed this thing in forever.
Someone says, talk to your husband. Why does he even kiss you on the lips to begin with? That whole concept sounds fucking weird.
Yeah,
And then someone
again,
says, my
that's-
family does this. Sister-in-law, aunts, grandmas, moms. I don't like it either. My sister-in-law kisses her kids on the mouth. I remember when they were younger, I'd go to hug them and they'd try to kiss me on the mouth. So I'd turn my head and say, I don't kiss family on the mouth. And sister-in-law would be like, oh, what's the big deal? I'd be like, I just think it's weird. And when the nieces, nephews were little and sometimes didn't want to give me a hug goodbye at the end of family events, and their parents would be like, give your aunt a hug, I would tell them, no, you don't ever have to give anyone a hug or a kiss if you don't want to.
Yeah, that's right.
so true.
Yeah, it's
You
really
should never
important
be
for kids to
forced
hear that.
Do that shit.
Oh my god, that's actually such a good point because my
Mhm.
family totally does that.
Uh-huh.
They make you hug.
Well, not, I mean, I don't know. I just feel
If
like,
you don't, then you're the weird one.
yeah, I guess
That's how
so.
it is in my family.
Huh.
Certain ways.
I could totally like see kids in my family like not wanting to hug like some random old person and be like, give them a fucking hug.
What did you just do to this thing?
I just
Oh shit!
I put lightning on my hand axe
Okay,
because
dude,
it
you're
does-
destroying this guy.
Yeah, because I got the lightning hookup.
How many times have you killed this guy in your
Oh,
life?
Many.
Like, so it's been out for 8 years. You've killed this guy what? 30
Eight-
times?
30 times is probably pretty accurate.
Wow.
Can I just say that from my point of view, these games are completely pointless.
What would make it meaningful?
Yeah. Do you like the one that we play usually, Overwatch?
No,
Okay.
I also think that's completely pointless. And I see that you guys have a different perspective on it, but I just want to share that from my perspective, I don't get the appeal at all.
I don't know. It's hard to say. It's just, it's neat.
It's neat.
I'm a zombie.
I don't want to be sexist, and I'm sure Taijira will disagree with me, but I feel like it's a guy thing.
Well, let's get Taijira's opinion. She's a female gamer.
Yeah.
Maybe
I'd like to
maybe
hear.
you'll like her opinion more than I don't know how to say it. There's just something I get to live out my fantasies of killing undead shit.
So we calling that one answered?
Oh yeah, I think so.
All right.
All right.
Do you have another one?
I do. Yeah.
All right.
People who have given your SO a second chance after they cheated. Why did you forgive them, and have you learned to fully trust them again?
Wow.
How is your relationship now?
That's a tough one.
And one of the first responses is, we were married less than a year. It was the hardest year of my life. He went to watch a sporting event with his friends and didn't come back that night. He called me in the morning and told me what happened. Lots of counseling, lots of fighting, and we are still married 20 years and 2 kids later.
Wow.
I think since he told me right away and didn't try to hide it, made it easier.
That makes sense.
So, just out of curiosity, has anyone here been cheated on or been the offender?
I have been both.
Really?
I've been neither.
Do you want to answer this question?
The relationship
at
did
all?
not continue. So,
In either case?
in either case,
Oh, you mentioned the first one
yeah.
where it was
I
like
mentioned
you
one,
kind of
yeah.
knew the relationship was just kind of heading south.
Uh-huh.
You got the phone call and you were like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
kind
got
of
it.
expected that."
I got a phone call of I'm going out with the coworker for some drinks tonight, and when I got that, it wasn't even a phone call; it was a text message. I'm like, "Oh, you're gonna sleep with this guy?" And then I got the phone call the next morning, which was, "I'm so sorry," and I was just kind of like, "It's cool." She's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, you know." But that relationship, like, that was kind of already. I wasn't fighting for it, so I can't speak to how to make it work afterwards.
Yeah. Tidira said she hasn't played Dark Souls. Doesn't look very appealing to her, and she prefers MMO, not single
What's
player.
MMO?
Massively multiplayer online role-playing game.
Like Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Like
World of
World of
Warcraft
Warcraft.
is sort of still the number one MMO.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. You start a character. It's usually a different class, so you can like pick wizard or warrior or whatever. Very much like D&D. And then you're in this world with other people, basically, and you try to achieve things together and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point tonight, we are going to talk about BlizzCon coverage this weekend, because Zach and I have a lot to say about the things that Blizzard announced for mostly World of Warcraft for me. I don't know about the other games. I'm excited about the new Overwatch character, but holy shit, vanilla classic servers? Never would have guessed this to happen.
No, never
Yeah.
in a million years.
Yeah. And then while we do that, those of you watching the video can watch Alex be bored out of her mind because she won't know what the hell we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Russell wants me to invade. Patience.
Are you going to stay level 1?
No, I'm level 10. I'm going to stay level 10, though.
You're level 10 now?
Yeah.
What is the 01 up there?
That's my humanity.
Oh.
So I'm currently looking like a zombie right there. And I can use that one humanity to turn human.
Okay.
And then when I turn human, I can invade someone else's world.
Tajira says she'll join us in on the BlizzCon talk.
Nice.
We'll probably do that for the last 15, 20 minutes of the show, Ty, just to let you know. So another response to this was, forgave her. 6 to 8 months later, she was pregnant. I found out it wasn't mine. Dodged a bullet. Ouch.
Yeah.
But also, like, happy ending.
Yeah.
Yeah. For him.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. What is y'all's? This is always sort of an interesting conversation, I think,
Yeah.
because it has a lot of different opinions. I think, like, what would you do, Alex, if you were dating someone or married, for instance?
I would not like it at all.
What would you? I mean, do you have a rule? Like, if you cheat, that's it, game over? Or are you open to possibilities making a difference? Like, different scenarios making a difference? Kind of like this first person where they said, he told me immediately and that made a difference kind of thing?
I guess I'd have to just wait and see what that felt like in the moment and what
Yeah.
the whole circumstance was and how much I like this guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. What
Yeah.
do you think?
Yeah, I think all of that makes sense. Someone earlier, someone posted in this. I don't want to read all of these, but there was a post from a divorce lawyer, and he gave sort of very pragmatic, like observational advice from all the divorces he's seen. And he said something like, if you're 18 to 25 years old, it's probably a sign of things to come and you should just end it, sort of thing. If that's, if that's a pretty new relationship or something. Then he said 25 to 55, maybe think about sticking around. And then he said like 55 and up, like you've built a life together, you have kids, you got the whole thing. It's time to really consider sort of working with these feelings and staying together. Yeah. But I think really context does matter for me. So like if I was dating someone and they came to me, or I found out, either way, if it turned out that they had been cheating for like years or a very long sort of affair where they just like had someone else, basically. Like one of the posts said, oh God, what did it say? He said he forgave her. They tried to work it out. It didn't work out. He broke up with her in April. And she celebrated her 1-year anniversary with a new guy in October. So she'd been like dating this dude for like 6 months, basically.
How does that even... I don't even understand.
I don't know. You've got to really be avoiding some feelings.
Dude,
to
I'm
like
just
hold
thinking,
two
like,
straight up
I
relationships.
can't get one guy to date me, and this bitch is 2 going at the same time. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I could forgive.
Even if it was like a one night thing and she's feeling really shitty about it. It was a...
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm open enough that if I was with someone long term, if they wanted to like sleep with someone else, I could navigate that conversation and potentially be cool with that.
Right.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of... I'm going to borrow a line from The Office here that sexuality exists on a spectrum, and any idea of something being normal is flawed from the beginning when it comes to sex. Point being that if like...
The Office?
That's Robert California.
Oh. Of course that's Robert California.
So yeah, if potentially like I'm married for 30 years and my wife is like, hey, look, I've always had this dream of like banging 4 dudes at once. I'm not going to be like, well, you can't have that dream come true. Sure.
Because if my husband said that, I'd be like, there's the fucking door.
Right. Yeah.
Really?
Well,
Yeah.
if your husband wanted to bang 4 dudes, that would make sense.
Or
probably.
for anything,
Show 'em
if
the
it
door.
weren't me. I could never do a threesome. I could never...
What if he
like,
said, I want to
do
have
freaky
sex
shit.
with 4 girls that look exactly like you? She's like, that's doable. That's doable.
That's so fucked up, Anthony, that you've made me confront that.
Are you having emotion right now? Are parts integrating?
Parts that I didn't know existed. But yeah, I think I'm just like way too jealous, like, and insecure. Like, I just would be afraid to lose them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that I would be open to that.
I mean, that's why
I'm open to
yeah.
hearing it and hearing more about it and like talking about it. But right now, I'm not in a
Yeah.
position where I would be like, sure, you can fuck 4 people.
Right.
Like,
Right now, I wouldn't be
this
either.
would be a
but this is like
struggling journey.
30. Like I'm saying, after a 30-year marriage, like that
Right,
caveat of
right.
there's this much time invested. You only have one life. This is your thing. You want to smoke crack and do heroin. You might as well just try it once before your life's over.
Or not.
Or not. Yes. So each their own. I think I'm more open to the idea that there's only one life. If you got something you want to do, you better do it because you're not going to get another chance.
And I want to open up the possibility too, like, oftentimes when people are thinking about cheating, or they have these desires outside of their relationship, especially if it's already agreed upon to be monogamous, consensual, blah blah blah, right? That wanting to do something like this or cheat is a way to avoid feelings of discomfort or dissatisfaction in the relationship. And on one level, there's space to sort of maybe open this up and ask for what you want. Maybe your boyfriend wants to fuck 4 people, and after you talk about it for a while, it turns out he's got a kink he wants to try that he was like afraid to ask you or something.
About the fucking 4 people.
Right.
Or
It may not even
something.
involve the 4 people anymore, but
Oh.
I think these desires, I mean, and maybe this is a long-term thing that he knows that he wants, right? But I think that that this can happen, that, you know, we have these things that we've sort of repressed, or we feel like on some level we can't communicate with our partner about, and they sort of morph into these things that either we know we can't have or we know will cause some sort of problem or XYZ or whatever, you know. Maybe the adult thing is adult from a differentiation standpoint is letting your boyfriend fuck the 4 people.
No.
But I do wonder how much conversation would facilitate a change of that, and how you could provide that for him.
I would just be so offended that he'd want to fuck someone else. I'd be so
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah.
So sad. But and at the same time, I wonder if like they look at it that same way, you know? Like even like we were kind of talking about this, how, you know, from your perspective, you were saying like you want, you know, your freedom and you don't want anyone controlling your time, and like you're kind of looking at it from that perspective, and I'm looking at it from a, why doesn't he want to hang out with me? Why doesn't he love me? Like blah blah blah. And it's just like completely different perspectives, and it's like I just project my thinking onto him and like draw all these conclusions about what his behavior means to him.
Yeah.
And it's like mind blowing that it like doesn't necessarily mean that. It's crazy. It's like, how the fuck do you operate in a world where you don't even know what other people are thinking?
It's tough.
Yeah.
I wish. So we just had this conversation. Tajira had to step away from her keyboard, but I imagine she would have had a lot to say. So this is actually related. So I've got another question from a listener.
Ooh.
This wasn't posted today in the chat, but someone sent this earlier. And I'll read it verbatim, and then we can say how we each hear it or whatever. So I'm actually going to pull this. Can you talk about the dynamics of getting and asking for your needs to be met in relationship? And how often those needs are neurotic, which we can unpack. And then you end up fulfilling unhealthy relationship patterns under the guise of getting your needs met and communicating better.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Can you
I think-
can you restate it?
The whole thing verbatim, or how I heard it?
Yeah, how you heard it. Can
So
you just-
what I'm hearing from this question is there's a question around knowing on some level that we have sort of neurosis and things that are quote unquote flaws. I don't even like using that word, but it's common vernacular.
Or just like maladaptive
yeah,
patterns.
right,
like
right. Insecurities,
essentially traumas.
traumas. Say
I-
more about
I
what you mean by
think-
traumas.
I think it's like
We've
there's
covered
some-
this on previous.
I think that like a lot of the times there's some kind of like attachment or relationship trauma that like causes you to try and get your needs met in ways that are not necessarily the most helpful. Like
Yeah.
maybe they were helpful at the time, and then you're just kind of using the same strategy over and over again.
Right, right.
And like just because of that initial trauma.
Right. So I think the question here is what does the work look like of differentiating these things? Of how do I know, essentially, when I ask for something in a relationship, that I'm asking as a way to improve the relationship or my relationship to this thing, or, you know, doing work, basically, or just asking for something like that isn't necessarily unhealthy or whatever, versus asking my boyfriend not to look at that girl walking down the street because it makes me uncomfortable, like that kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Or
Damn, that's a good question.
because a lot of those things we don't even know. They're blind. They're totally blind to us, and we think on some level that we're trying to get our needs met.
Right, I see. So am I getting my needs met, or am I just asking you to help me maintain my neurosis?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. And what is the agreement in the relationship? I would add, because I think people get together, not having that communicated, like that on some level. I think that a lot of relationships are sort of founded implicitly or explicitly on the notion that you are here to make me feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I expect you to sort of fall in line with my my insecurities, or whatever you want to call them. And so, yeah, that's what I would add to it.
Fuck, that's a hard question. The thing that's like immediately coming to mind, because I've actually been, I was thinking about this earlier today, and I feel like when I ask myself, like, what are my needs in this relationship, I get really confused because I don't know what are like legitimate needs and what are like my neuroses or whatever. But if I ask myself, like, what do I want, that feels like I can really trust that because it's what I want, you know? It just like, it gives me some information that I can trust.
Well, so when you say, what do I want? So let's say, let's give a scenario. This would help me.
Okay.
So what was something in the past that you've done in relationship, or that you've asked for in relationship, that you feel good, first of all, about talking about on this stream, and you now see that it was you, what do you want to say, putting your shit on somebody else, what?
Facts.
How would you word
it?
it?
Time that it wasn't good.
Yeah, that you now see, like, you wouldn't ask for that now, or you at least know when that feeling comes up that it's something that you can work with.
I remember my ex from like back in Canada, when we were first starting to date, he like, I remember this one time he like went out with his friends without me, and I got really upset. I was like, why wouldn't you bring me? And like, I want you to bring me. And now that I'm looking back on it, I'm thinking like, he might just need time with his friends alone, you know, like, and that's reasonable. So.
And what was I missed the first part.
He was going out with his friends alone, and I was like, why wouldn't you want to invite me?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what happened?
He was like, okay, and then he started inviting me. But
your sense is now that,
like, let's say like in future relationships, I want to give someone the space to be able to go out with their friends without me. I think that's like totally reasonable. I think that's something I probably would want too.
So I think this question gets to the core of what you just described about, you did this in the past, you know this about yourself now. What happened? How did it integrate? Was it you went through this and asked for it, and you sort of did like a post-mortem on the relationship, and you were like, yeah, I was totally being whatever here, or...
I think I was just caught in a really insecure place, and now I'm not in such an insecure place that I'm looking back on it and being like, that was a little far. I don't know. I mean, this is such a fucking hard question.
Yeah, it's a really tough one. It's a good one.
It's a really good one.
Mark is calling me. He'll be on the stream one day. He wants to talk about Overwatch porn.
What?
Totally, yeah.
I didn't know there was porn in Overwatch.
Ew.
What?
Wait, were you kidding?
No.
Like cartoon porn?
Well, no, it's like the, you know the Rule 34 subreddit?
No.
So, Overwatch has become a really common video game for people to create porn. Like, I mean, I don't want to say hentai, but that's the only word I can think of, where it's just like cartoony porn.
Gotcha.
Because a lot of the, females in that game are voluptuous.
Have scoliosis.
Yeah, yeah. They get them C-backs.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to understand how I want to answer this.
I mean, you gotta understand what your needs are, right? That's the core of this question.
But are your needs maladaptive or are they legitimate?
Well, if they're real needs, they're not maladaptive.
Well, but how can you tell?
Right, that's the question.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like it's such a gut feeling.
Is it just you have to go through and fuck this up over and over?
Maybe a little bit.
You have
of
to
that,
just
yeah.
create the conditions for this to come up for you to really feel it and then be like, oh, this is what I'm doing?
Yeah, I think it might be.
You're being pretty quiet there.
Yeah. Well, I'm sucked into the game.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a gut feeling. Is this a need? Like, what are basic human needs? Is this one of them, or am I just kind of like? It's hard for me to answer that without. Okay, how do you know what your needs are? If you don't know what your needs are, then you should figure out what your needs are before anything else.
Yeah, but
And then if you're not sure if your need is a need or if it's a maladaptive need, then you should talk to someone else about it to get clarity, because I don't know.
But what about trust in yourself? Where
Mhm.
does trust come in?
I don't know. Where does it come in?
Say more.
Are there times where you guys feel like you can really trust yourselves?
Sometimes.
Or an
Yeah.
example you could give? Like the last time you really felt like you could trust yourself?
Well, I think my internal bullshit radar, like, has just been improved throughout the years. And it's much harder for me to lie to myself than it used to be. Like, just in general. I don't know that there's any trick to that. It's just, you know, I used to smoke a shit ton of weed and I can be like, oh, I need this. And now, like, I'm like, yeah, I don't need to smoke weed right now. I just really want to. And if I'm just being totally honest, I don't know. I don't know. It's just a feeling.
But at the time when you were saying I need to smoke weed, maybe that really felt like a legitimate need.
I think even at the time, I knew that I didn't really need to, but it was still really hard for me to integrate
What's up with
that.
this guy? That was
That
funny.
was
I'm
funny.
just slowly pushing people off the cliff. 'Cause
I know, I
I'm too weak.
noticed that. That's so
I'm too
funny.
weak to actually kill anybody.
You just stomp them out of existence.
Yeah, so I just...
I think I'm wanting to, because on some level I want to say, like, if you're guessing it, if you're second guessing it, like if something comes up and you're like, wait a minute, is this me or is this a real thing? Depending on your history, and if this is like a healthy relationship or blah blah blah, it's probably like neurotic. I would say.
It's probably neurotic.
Yeah, like if you were about to like ask your partner for something and and then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, am I about to put my shit on them?
But then what about like the lack of self-trust? You know, lack of like respect for
Right.
or something.
Right. Well,
And-
this is what I want to bring it around to my second point here, which is a lot of us, myself included, don't have an experience with relationships, or at least I'm getting there, I think. But I don't have an experience with relationships where I can necessarily trust that piece yet. Because if I'm sort of the mindset that I'm doing something wrong constantly, right? Or at least if something goes wrong in a relationship and I assume it's me, and I know that about myself, then I can't necessarily trust every time I ask myself that. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
So I want to like put that out there because my advice is the first thing, which is if you're even thinking about it, just maybe take a minute or think about it overnight or whatever you got to do to like sort of back up with whatever you're about to ask for or whatever. And it's very real that people are in relationships that don't have healthy attachments. And when something comes up in relationship that they want, they might feel guilt or shame about even wanting anything, even if it is a healthy want or need or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to like hold both sides of that. What? Silence.
Just
A complicated topic.
Yeah.
It is.
What's this dark liquid both of you are drinking?
it's not coffee.
Yeah.
It's like
Taste it. Tell me if you think it's like coffee.
Does it have caffeine in
No,
it?
no caffeine. Tastes like coffee a little bit.
A little bit. What is it? Is it yerba?
No, it's called Pero. I think it's German, which would make sense because it's malted barley. But I mean, basically, it's like a coffee alternative beverage.
Mm.
Yeah,
No caffeine?
no caffeine.
Interesting.
It's very yummy. Gets me through the cold days.
it's what Donald Trump calls kafifi.
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 Fucking Trump.
Is this a boss that you're killing?
No, this guy is a necromancer and he summons those skeletons.
Uh huh.
So if he's alive, then the skeletons just keep rezzing.
Oh shit! Did he just do another one just now?
No, that's me hitting him in the face.
Oh.
Um,
Oh shit! Fireball!
So if I kill him, then the skeletons don't respond.
Wait, how'd the fireball not hit you? Are you out of range?
It hits some ledge over here.
Oh.
The,
So do you know if you sit
hitboxes.
exactly right there, you can kill him? Wow,
Yeah.
you've played this game a lot.
yeah, this is like a boss. I'm in an area of the game that I really have no business being in, but I'm doing this so that I can get
So this is what people do. They
my fire.
go through this game and try and beat it at inappropriate levels because it increases the difficulty.
Yeah,
And there's clever ways of doing it.
and it's for the matchmaking. So, I'm gonna die, but that's okay.
Oh no, don't die.
It's for the matchmaking. So if I stay low level, then I can like do co-op games with other low level people.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to invade their games, I'm going to have a crazy strong weapon that's way more powerful than they expect.
You're creating a twink right now?
Yeah, yeah, that's
Wow.
exactly what I'm doing.
Okay.
And also I can help people though and be way overpowered for those bosses when I help people.
Okay.
Either way, that's why I'm doing all this stuff, jumping off of ledges and going into secret hiding places so that I can get down to the bottom.
Interesting.
And then there's this guy here, and he's really stupid. A lot of times he just walks off into the darkness. Watch, ready? Here he goes. He just falls off.
What?
He just
He
died.
just killed himself?
Yeah, because he tried to walk. The pathing in this game is pretty bad, and he ran into this guy.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Y'all want to call that answer complete?
Did we really answer it?
It's a tough one.
I think it's beyond our scope.
I almost
mean-
want to have a conversation with this person and say, what do you think?
And it's like, what is the need? I think that's a big part of it too. I mean, in general, it's about knowing your need. And I think what you said, I was saying it's kind of like just a feeling. And I think you're right. If you're asking for something and you have this notion to second guess, then maybe it's not a need. Maybe it's just a want,
A neurotic want.
a neurotic want. So now I'm just going to walk off here into the darkness.
Oh, dear God. What is this you're getting from him?
So the green Titanite shard is necessary so that when I go down here... Oh,
What
cool,
the
and I got a
fuck?
skill lantern. Then when I drop down here...
Oh, okay. I saw you at this part.
Yeah, so this feller here is going to...
How are you planning on beating this guy?
I'm not going to. He's a good guy.
Oh.
He's an armor smith.
Wait, you got people behind you, don't you?
Nope. They all died, so... Let's see.
A skeletal blacksmith.
So I need 10 Titanite shards, I think. I hope I have enough. I don't think I have enough. Damn it, I messed this up.
Okay, I've got an answer.
Yeah?
That's pure advice, and your mileage may vary.
Okay.
But I'm wanting to just say, just go for it.
Go for what?
Maybe maybe ask for it and trust that your partner will let you know.
Trust that your partner will tell you if that's unreasonable. or
Unless
not.
they have some maladaptive.
They might, and enough requests, and it'll come out eventually. I'm just thinking this kind of relates to what we were talking about earlier, and just fucking it up over and over, basically, until, like, making mistakes over and over until you feel the feeling enough until it's integrated.
Yeah, I
Maybe.
think there's wisdom in that.
Like, if you had just, like, gone in on yourself with this guy that you gave the example about a minute ago
Yeah.
and not asked him,
Yeah.
would you have ever even reflected on that in the relationship?
That's a good point. Probably not. I might still be holding it. Or I might not, like, see so clearly that that's an unreasonable request. I don't know.
I don't know. That's my sort of off the cuff, uneducated answer on this.
Yeah.
Did you have any other Reddit posts?
Well, what about, like, talking about some of the articles that
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Zach found?
Is that what you were saying? Is that what you want to do?
That's fine with me.
I thought I just heard you whispering.
I just fucked something
Oh.
up.
The deactivation effect. What 15-minute device-free solitude does to your emotions.
This is neat. Yeah, this is the one you were talking about earlier, Alex. Earlier.
I wonder,
About-
you want to take a break from the game so you can...
I do. I want to finish this part.
Okay. Let me know when there's a good moment for a pause.
Zach, was that the article with the quote, volunteers prefer to give themselves mild electric shocks than sit in silence with their own thoughts?
Yes.
Holy shit.
Wait, are you...
This guy's like the Dharma skeleton.
Yeah, there's a bunch of these guys too. All right, so this is what all this was for. Was that I can go to here, and now I have a fire sword.
Nice.
Now my sword is way stronger than it needs to be for this.
So, like, now you can just crush it.
Yeah, nah.
Could you go kill a boss if you wanted to? Like that
Yeah.
powerful?
Yeah, I could. I'm gonna wreck shit now.
Okay.
I'm
Let me know
gonna
when
go.
you can pause.
Okay, I can pause now.
Okay. Do 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 do. So yeah, walk us through this a little bit. I haven't read this article.
Well, so the main part of the article was that people are really resistant to being alone and to being away from other people. So they were establishing that prolonged isolation has negative psychological effects.
Yeah.
But that basically what it comes down to is 15 minutes of isolation is extremely healthy, and people had less how did they word it? I can't remember the wording, but they basically had less emotional extremes after 15 minutes of being in isolation. So both positive and negative affect decreased. So it's basically 15 minutes of silence, and isolation is basically like a really good mood stabilizer. And these people say to do it. So you can do that, and you can read a book, and you get positive effects.
Oh, even if you're reading?
Yeah, but they say take away the phone because a phone is just social interaction.
Right.
That's basically the crux of it.
Do you guys spend any time kind of like on your own without a phone or anything?
Meditate.
Yeah, when I say it. Sometimes I leave the house
Besides
without
that.
a phone. Sometimes
Oh,
I
yeah?
just do that. I just
That's
leave and I
probably a
leave
good
my
idea.
phone at home just for the sake of it because it's so freaking uncomfortable.
Sounds blissful.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it's
But,
scary.
yeah, also uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because if there's like this awkward pause,
Yeah, I guess I could see
you
that.
can't just...
Mm-hmm.
I will say though, I do notice when I'm just reaching for my phone, and I'm just like, you're reaching for your phone.
Mhm.
That's not. It's not what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
I actually got that advice from a Buddhist teacher, Panla Rinpoche.
Yeah.
It was just like, leave your house without your phone sometimes. Just sit on a bench. See what that's like.
Why would we do that, Rinpoche? I don't
Like,
know.
Why would I sit on a bench? It's weird.
Actually, before bed too.
Before bed?
Like, well, because I also try and not look at screens like an hour or two before bed.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, fuck, what do I do? And
What do
then
you do?
like sometimes I read, but sometimes I literally just like lie there
Yeah.
with the lights on.
That sounds blissful too.
It's kind of it's something. I don't know. I mean, I'm not like necessarily being present.
Bored?
Yeah.
Not bored. I'm just like in my kind of thoughts, just kind of like reviewing things
Yeah.
and just letting things come up and go. And I'm just like, oh yeah, this is, it's kind of enjoyable to feast on your thoughts because I don't know. And like, fuck, a lot of the time, actually, recently, I'm like, I'll be in like my daily life. I'll like go on a run or something. I'll be like, okay, let me be present. And I'll be present for like 2 seconds. And I'll be like, this is fucking boring. Like, I want to go back to my thoughts. My thoughts are interesting and they're exciting and they like got substance.
Mm-hmm.
And the present moment doesn't have shit.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
So it's crazy that we're talking about this because for the last, 2 weeks now, I've been experimenting with not charging my phone next to the bed. I just don't even have it in my bedroom anymore when I'm sleeping. And it's been a huge, like, I had no idea how, I've literally had moments where I'm like reaching in the dark at my nightstand, like, where the fuck, where, I'm like, you have that like moment of like freaking out, like, where is it? Did I forget to plug it in? I don't know. I gotta get this tweet out before the end of the night or whatever. I don't even tweet. I don't know how I said that, but
How do you
2 weeks,
How
and
do
this
you-
has happened a couple times.
how do you wake up? How do you set an
I was
alarm?
thinking,
Oh, I've got a little Google Home
Oh.
thing over there.
Yeah.
So there's no screen, but it's still something I can talk to. Like, hey, okay, Google, what time is it?
It's 8:26.
Yeah, see?
wow.
Okay, Google, what's the forecast for tomorrow? See, I just have this conversation. with
Tomorrow in Boulder, there'll be snow showers with a high of 32 and a low of 23.
It's snowing tomorrow?
Oh, no,
Supposed
no,
to
I
snow
don't like
all night.
Wow.
Tonight?
Tonight, starting tonight.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That.
Wow. See, and this is what I mean. It introduces part of the stuff that we're trying to maybe avoid when we're sitting with our thoughts and everything. And for me, it's like the screen. Like, I'll only talk to that thing if I really need to know something. It's not like I'm going to fucking ask it about Barack Obama. Like, it knows, I know it can tell me that stuff. But in that moment, it gives me at least that second to think like, I don't really need to fucking
Yeah.
do this right now.
Can I ask it something?
Yeah.
Okay, Google. How many times has Anthony asked you about Barack Obama?
Sorry, I'm not sure how to help with that yet.
No,
Yeah.
I thought
Aw.
maybe you were lying, and maybe you do lay awake and ask it about Barack Obama.
Oh yeah, Tygear, I hear that I saw earlier that Comcast was down around the country today.
Hmm.
Yeah, all over
Holy
the place.
shit.
Yeah. I think maybe it was hitting my internship earlier today.
Damn.
But yeah, so no screen before
no
bed.
screen before bed is good.
So I've been trying new sleep things because I'm on this huge like quest for the best night of sleep this semester.
Mm-hmm.
I've invested in a new mattress. I
Quest for best rest.
quest for best rest. I like that. So if you look over there, Alex, there's like this little packet.
Sleep.
Yeah.
Nighttime powder.
Yeah. So basically, this is like, I don't want to advertise it or say the brand or anything, but this is essentially just like amino acids that you take before bed.
Can I see?
And it's got a little bit of melatonin, like 0.3 milligrams or something.
Tryptophan, theanine, glycine, 5-HTP, glycine, sorry. 5-HTP, melatonin.
I picked the nits.
Say HGB.
No, 5-HTP.
5-HTP. So anyway, like not looking at a screen for an hour before bed, going to bed before 10 o'clock.
Before 10 o'clock.
Right.
What time
Right.
do you wake up?
I got up naturally, so I want to tell the whole story here.
Okay.
So
Well, I mean,
no
hours
screen
is
for an
fine.
hour. Bed before 10. No phone in the room at all. I've got all this stuff in here, but it's completely off. I read a little bit. I read this Snarsh book on differentiation, and I did something else. Oh, I took this stuff. I swear to God, I'm not like exaggerating. And I talked to Luis about this today. He thinks it was a placebo effect, but I went to bed. I woke up without an alarm for the first time in I don't even know when. Like I woke up before my alarm and I was up. Like
At what time?
it was 6:15 this morning.
That
I just
so
So
great.
you got
popped out of bed.
8 hours.
It was
It's
magical.
amazing. I love being up at that time.
Oh, it's great.
You
I
know,
like got
it's
shit done
quiet.
before CT and everything.
God,
Yeah.
that sounds good. I can't get to bed that early though. I just can't.
I'm going to struggle to do it tonight, but I'm going to try.
I would love to. I was on it for a week. I had a 10 o'clock bedtime. I went to bed at like 9:30 one night, and I was
Yeah.
getting up at like 5:36.
Hell yeah.
And now I'm just on this Netflix to bedtime.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll postpone bedtime.
Big
So a
time.
lot of it is the blue light from the screens. Apparently, it's not
Well,
even just that our
that's what I was
minds
gonna say.
engaged,
I use filters on my MacBook.
and it still doesn't.
It's not. It's just about my relationship to wanting not to go to
But
sleep.
also,
Okay.
it's like,
Thinking
yeah,
of
like all
everything.
this noise in your head, like
Mm-hmm.
right up until the second you go to bed, that's gotta fuck with it.
Totally.
And I will say too that this guy argues that the blue light, and I know I've heard this a million times, and it almost seems like common sense, yet I ignore it every time I hear it. But like the blue light actually affects your hormones. So he says that even if you can fall asleep, so there's like a placebo of, or placebo's not right, but there's like a confirmation bias around, oh, everyone I know is not affected by these screens, yet this is the research, right? Like you watch Netflix right up until bed, you're fine.
But you
He
don't know
says-
he's
he
not
says that it-
affected.
Well, this is my thought, that if I can go to bed, just waking up in the morning groggy is just like what life is like, right? But he's saying that the blue light actually messes with your hormones in a way that makes you get worse sleep even though you're asleep the whole night.
That makes perfect sense.
It does, right?
Yeah.
And I just like heard this for years and totally ignored it. I swear to God, I tried it one night and like it was like I slept 12 hours. It was amazing.
Damn. So now I want to do this, and I'm already mad at myself for having not done it because I'm not going to.
Well, feel that.
My piece around it, and I know this about myself, it has to do with feeling like I'm just doing stuff for other people all day long.
Wow.
Like, even if it's for myself, like today I worked, I got up, I went to work, it's a half-hour commute, I come home, and it's like I had just enough time to throw food in a crock pot, then came here, and then after tonight, like, I'm gonna want to like chill out,
Yeah.
and if I don't get that, then like I just won't go to sleep early. It's so hard for me just to like go to bed without feeling like I get to
Well, but what about
time to
taking
myself.
an hour before bed to do something for yourself that's not on the TV?
well, I'm down with that idea,
Yeah.
but I guess I was more referring to the getting to bed early is really hard for
Oh.
me because
Yeah.
I want that time at the end of the day where I just shut everything off and get
When
to have
do you
that to
when
myself.
do you usually go to bed?
Usually around midnight.
That's not horrible. If you wake up at 8, then you got 8 hours sleep.
Even if I go to bed at midnight and wake up at 8, first of all, it won't happen because I wake up at 7 o'clock every day, no matter what.
Okay.
And I don't know why, but like, even if I go to sleep at midnight and wake up at 8 and get 8 hours, I will get better sleep if I go to bed at 10 and only get 7 hours.
Yeah,
I'll
I'm
be
sure.
more rested.
But why?
I don't know what it is. Circadian rhythms or some shit?
Yeah, I mean, the book that I'm reading, the guy claims that throughout the day we are doing things that fucks up our hormones and like our natural body rhythm in so many ways that essentially the hormones that get released in the middle of the night that basically when melatonin gets released into our body and we wake up and we're feeling like shit, it's because our body released it way later into the night because it thought like we were so exposed to light and stuff, or blue light anyway in this case. We're exposed to blue light up until bedtime that it waited like maybe even 3 or 4 hours after you fall asleep to release that stuff. So when you wake up, you're like in the middle of it. And he says that you can do all kinds of things throughout the day to get back on this rhythm. And so he's got this 21 point thing, and like, you know, exercises on there. It's a super common one, obviously. Sun, 15 minutes in the sun, even on a cloudy day, he says, is like a huge boost. Even if you can do it the first 2 hours that you're up in the morning, it like does a whole, like that's the number one thing I think he said you should do. 15 minutes of direct sunlight a day. And if you can't do that,
first 2 hours?
and within the first 2 hours of the day. And you know, there's all kinds of other stuff, like it says keep your friends out of the bedroom, and he just means your phone basically. Don't get on the social network in bed or anything. And basically make your bedroom a sanctuary for sleep and sex. Like make it the place that you do those two things and almost nothing else.
Yeah, I freaking heard that advice on like some talk show when I was like 12, and that stuck in my head.
Really?
Yeah, I remember my mom was pissed because I was watching things about like sex or whatever. But yeah, to have the bedroom, no TV. This was before the internet.
Yeah.
And I was remembering this, and it was just like no TV in the bedroom, and that was like unheard of. Because I grew up in a house where it's like get in bed and you turn the TV on and you use the little thing and put a sleep timer. Which those don't exist anymore.
Yeah, or if you're like, well, there's still sleep timers. This one has one.
Yeah, but I mean, I haven't used one, so they don't exist in my world.
And if you're like my grandmother, you turn it on and it just stays on until you wake up.
Oh shit.
Like she would, it was
That's
like
not
comforting
good.
or something to have fucking infomercials on.
Like while she sleeps?
Yeah, every night. Yeah, I'll never forget that because I stayed a lot of nights at her house, and I would have to like, when I was really little, I'd have to like go into her bedroom to use her bathroom at night, and I just it never failed that the TV was on. It was like my nightlight basically. Tajira says that she screens until bedtime usually, and she doesn't have anything else on in the bedroom, but her phone charges next to her on the nightstand. Yeah.
Yeah.
How's
Yeah,
your sleep,
I
Tajira?
screen until bedtime too.
Yeah, what is the quality of your sleep? Do you wake up tired? Do you... How did we get on this? Oh, it was this thing.
Yeah, screen time.
Oh yeah, because we were saying 15 minutes of solitude is good, and I was saying that happens to me
wanna-
at bedtime.
Do
Transition
you want
over.
it? We don't have to.
If you're going to play.
So we're talking about screen time.
Oh, did I just cause you to swing that?
Yep.
So I could, like, mess you up?
Yeah, don't do that.
Okay.
Actually, I'm just now noticing that there's maggots all over the place. You seeing
Ew.
that?
Oh, wait, stop.
And they're all climbing up the walls.
I think
Oh,
they're
shit.
leeches.
They're
Aren't they?
leeches or something. I've never noticed that. Just all over the place. Where are they going?
It's really terrible texturing, but... Where are they going?
Into that hole right there. Which is really cool because the boss of this whole area is like weird maggot dude.
Oh, so they're, like, crawling to the mother.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tajira
now
says
I
she
got my
feels like she wakes up
flamethrowers.
tired but sleeps sound through the night.
Yeah.
I wonder if you're really sleeping sound through the night.
And
Well, I
I
mean-
wonder if that's the result of what Anthony was saying with the blue light and the melatonin getting released, so you wake up groggy.
Yeah.
That's how it happens for me too, Tajira, is that I usually screen till bedtime, and I feel like I get good sleep, but I wake up tired regardless.
Yeah.
And that is just the norm for me. It's just how it is. It's so hard for me to even expect something to be different.
Yeah, and on some level, I feel like the sleep that I got last night is an anomaly, and that I won't be able to reproduce it because, I mean, really, it was like fantastic.
But do you usually go to bed that early?
A lot of the time I do, and it's
do you wake
not.
up that early?
Yeah, I can sleep for 9 or 10 hours sometimes.
That might be too much sleep.
Well, I'm just saying, any range between 6 and 10, I wake up feeling the same,
Okay.
and it makes me think that something's going on, right?
Yeah.
And so I tried this stuff, and I think it's the circadian rhythm stuff. Like, I thought it was all bullshit, and that, you know, if I'm sleeping, I must be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I never took into account the fact that the quality of sleep could actually be, like, even low or anything. I don't know. I thought
Yeah.
if you were sleeping, you were sleeping. Yeah, and 8 snoozes in the morning.
Oh,
Gotta
oh my
have
god, I'm
it,
such a snoozer.
God,
Or
right?
is that her?
Oh my god, tomorrow
I
morning.
think
we have
I
to
think
be-
her husband added that in too.
Oh yeah,
Is that Ian?
yeah, Ian.
Yeah, I'm sure he loves the snoozes as much as you do there, Tedra.
Do you love when he snoozes over and over in the morning?
What?
You know, when you're in bed together and you're sleeping with a snoozer, it's like,
That, well, that's what I think.
Oh,
She's
is that
the,
what you-
I think she's the snoozer, and that's
Oh.
why I just imagine
yeah, okay, I see.
Ian's over there, she hearing, and he's going.
He's like,
"And
"Give me
you-
that
and
fucking
you
keyboard."
fucking snooze 8 times too." Yeah, I was a snoozer. My partner was
Ooh.
not a fan of that. She's like, "Why don't you just get up when the alarm goes off?" And I'm like,
Because I
Don't
feel
you-
like shit,
"Don't
God.
don't tell me my business. I've been snoozing for years."
Why don't you get up when my alarm
Yeah,
goes
right.
off? How dare you try and go back to sleep?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Now I'm down to like 1 snooze.
Oh my god, I'm gonna snooze tomorrow morning. You just wait. I'm gonna be.
Yeah, you fuckers are going to be late again.
Are you really that upset?
Not really.
No.
Yeah. I'm like anyway.
And there's some
Except
resentment.
for
It's like,
you know who.
just fucking get there.
Yeah, but dude, I'm a snoozer. I snooze until
I mean,
the last moment.
you know, I'm not telling you to. This is just the thought that comes up. It's like, just fucking get there on time.
Snoozers
That's
are
what comes
losers,
up.
Okay,
Snoozers or what?
snoozers are losers.
You're a snoozer.
I know. I'm owning the part of myself that's also a
Oh,
loser.
well. I don't
You know, I was actually thinking about. I want to talk about this now.
We have 20 minutes, so I want to make sure we have time for BlizzCon talk.
All right. Well, I was gonna bring up something.
Well, no, keep going. We can.
So in
extend
our
BlizzCon talk.
group that we have, the other day I made a comment that
Well,
was.
before you continue,
Uh-huh.
can we unpack group for people who
Sure,
aren't
you
insane
can
like we are?
unpack it. I don't want to unpack.
So we, in our program, at have we said where we go?
Naropa.
Yeah, at our psychology program at Naropa, we basically are in these classes that are called small group process, and it's essentially a small group therapy, but it's not therapy, and it can be really uncomfortable. You sit in a room with 6 to 11 people, and there's no agenda. So like the time starts and that's it. Like that's it. And there's a facilitator in the room. And so, we're on this like,
cool.
we're on this like 3-year journey together, and a lot of stuff can come up. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so there's usually a lot of conflict, and a lot of it is, I think, to bring up difficult things and sort of practice it in that room where it's, we provide a space or create a space,
Yeah.
just like any group process would be.
Better it come up with us than with a client for the first time.
True. Or just in life generally,
Just
I would
in
say.
life generally.
Yeah.
I was framing it in terms of why is this helpful in our psychology
Right,
program, and that's how I
right.
see that.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
these issues are going to arise when I'm here to discuss them,
Yeah.
rather than just when I'm in the room with the client.
Sure. So, now that we've unpacked that.
So last time I made a comment, disparaging comment, specifically with the intention of getting under someone else's skin.
Yeah.
Refresh our memories. What was the comment?
You weren't there. So
No, I
you-
wasn't.
Oh, you
And
weren't here for
before-
this. Oh, no.
before
you were here
you-
for this. Never mind.
Before you go into it, I just want to remind you that anybody that's in the group might also see this. So
Totally, and I'm fine with anyone
Okay.
in the group seeing this. It was the day that.
and maybe don't say anything about their response
Okay.
because there's confidentiality.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
basically, what happened is I said something to try to annoy someone.
But what'd you say? I don't remember.
I said that if you refer to the power and oppression conversion chart,
I was there. This
you
was
were
2
there
weeks
for
ago.
that. Then me and this guy talking for 10 minutes is actually 10 times longer than the two women talking. Because if you carry the two,
Uh-huh.
you know that.
So you wanted to bring
use
this
the
up?
two-
Why?
Because I made that comment to annoy someone else in the group, and it worked.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know what got me thinking about this, but maybe just because we brought up the group or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I did that, and I didn't really think about it until after I did it. And then I started thinking about, okay, so what was the impulse there? And then I was reminded of something that you and I were talking about not too long ago, that there's a lot of connection in conflict and anger.
Totally.
And this was somehow my bid for connection with that person, because it's way easier for me to try to annoy them
Yeah.
than to just turn and be like, hey, I kind of want to be friends.
Yeah.
Do you think it worked?
Oh, it totally annoyed the crap out of
Oh yeah.
But do you think that the bid for connection, like, you got the connection that you were biting for?
me. Well,
I guess that's a bigger question.
I
right?
think the getting the reaction is yes, but this is a maladaptive pattern.
Right.
Mm.
It's
Because-
safer to make a bid for connection when you know what the response is going to be.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And it's ultimately not fulfilling. I don't want to actually annoy this person. I want to be friends with this person.
Yeah, it's ultimately going to push them away.
Right. But this is like the inner child in me knowing that I can push people's buttons and get attention for it.
Yeah.
And it worked. It annoyed the crap out of her, and I'm like, oh, I got the
I
response.
don't know if it annoyed her that much. But
It,
anyway.
it annoyed her enough. She made a comment. She made a face.
Yeah, we do this in relationship. Well, yeah, I'm trying to think of the last time I did something like this, but
It's super, yeah.
it comes up all the time.
I do it a lot. I think it's very childish. And
Oh,
and
it's
do it all the
super. Yeah, there's no adult in the room at that point.
time. No, yeah, I'm just like,
If you know that the person is going to respond in the way that you want them to,
Uh-huh.
and you know that this is coming from just like wanting to push their buttons, there's no adult present.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And it's a common strategy for people who grew up in a household where conflict was normalized.
Yes.
Because conflict is connection.
Yep. If we're not
So-
fighting, that means we don't care.
Right. Yeah. Which is subtle messages or whatever. But I think in some ways I've internalized this. It's like, okay, if you're not going to connect with me in some sort of caring, compassionate way, well, I still want connection, so I'm going to make you mad so that now I feel connected. Which I think is what kind of goes on unconsciously for me. And I think a lot of people do this shit. I mean, this is why guys, I think, tease girls on the playground. Boys tease girls on the playground.
Sure. Yeah.
It's just a reliable source of getting attention.
Hmm.
Anyway, I can't remember why I wanted to bring that up.
No, it's great. It's
Just entered my mind.
maybe we can talk about this on a show at some point because this is a big topic.
What's the broader theme?
Sort of bids for connection.
Bids for connection.
And what I think Alex's question to you was really apt in that. What did she say? What did you say, Alex? You said,
Did it work?
yeah, did you get the connection you were wanting? And
The answer, oh
my
yeah.
God, that's a huge question, right? Because like maybe in that moment you knew you were getting the reaction that you wanted, but is it the
Yeah.
connection that you want?
No,
Really?
it's not. So this is where it comes. This is going back to the conversation around needs
Mm-hmm.
and whether they're maladaptive or not. And it's like in this, I know
Yeah.
this is a maladaptive pattern that I have. And I, at least, I'm somewhere on this awareness continuum that I know I'm not stopping myself from acting it out, but after I do it, I'm at least aware that I've just done it.
Hmm.
Whereas a part of me wasn't even aware that it was happening in the first place.
You sort of realized it right after the fact.
It took me actually a few days to digest it.
Okay.
It wasn't even right after. And I think this is actually the
I was
first
pretty
time.
surprised.
Wait. So how did you
that you
digest
said
it?
that.
This was my question to you earlier.
What?
How did you come to this conclusion that this is what you were doing?
Self-reflection.
Just came
Yeah,
up.
it's just putting different pieces together. I think you and I or someone else and I had a conversation around
Yeah, we were in the steam room. We had a long
about
conversation.
anger being a source of connection.
Yeah.
And then me realizing, like, why do I want to continually, like, the thing is that things with her and I were in a relatively
Yeah.
okay place. And I just upset the homeostasis of that. Like,
I actually
interesting.
honestly feel like you didn't annoy them that much.
I didn't.
I don't think
No.
so. It was
No.
almost like it felt almost kind of playful.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was trying to be playful, but I knew it was
It's like
gonna
maybe this
bother
is
her
where we
more
can
than
play
I-
one day, but right now I know this is gonna
Yeah.
piss you off.
But also it's like, let's just, let's just inject some lightheartedness into this whole thing,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
It's
So-
been heavy for a while.
I'm curious what you were gonna say. You were surprised about something.
I was surprised that you said that.
Oh, really? How
Yeah.
come?
Well, because like you were saying, you guys were just repairing things a little. You were
Right,
saying,
we
I
were
wanna
just
repair."
repairing things.
And I was just like, Zach.
Oh,
Yes.
Well, that's
Dude.
interesting, isn't it?
Right. This is why this is so alive for me in the way of realizing, like, whoa, maladaptive strategies. Like, I could have just let things be maybe a little boring,
Yeah.
but level, but I tried to, like, upset it to stir stuff up again. And it's
Totally.
like, why do I have to do that? Why do I have to do that, Alex?
So we've got 10 minutes left,
Okay,
and I want to talk about
let's
BlizzCon.
talk about BlizzCon.
We can maybe go over a little bit if we have to. Alex is giving me that look like, please don't.
just continue. Just do your thing.
Oh my God, vanilla servers.
Vanilla servers.
So to explain this to those of you listening, because I think this is actually a really interesting topic psychologically.
It is. It actually
So
touched
World
me.
of Warcraft is a game. If you haven't heard of it, where have you been living for the last 12 years? First is my question.
Uh-huh.
Second of all,
And can Alex come live there with you?
right, she wants to go there right now. Please give her a call at 334-89. I don't know.
You're giving out my number now, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
I actually don't know her number. Please don't try those digits.
You only gave like 5 digits.
I know. Maybe they could work
This
it out.
isn't
I don't know.
Extrapolate.
Call 89, operator.
It's computer so old, the
Alright.
ISP is 1.
Yes. Pam.
That's Pam, yeah.
And she goes, huh?
Ah, that's a good one.
She's like the best dad joker there is.
Uh-huh.
All right, so is this a boss?
Nope, just a
Just a
guy
baller.
just crushing my face.
Oh, did he kill you?
You die.
Now, wait, is this hardcore mode?
No,
Does this game have this mode?
No, this whole game is about dying and dying and dying.
Okay.
And dying and dying. So now I have to go back up here and retrieve my souls.
Okay, so
So Vanilla WoW.
World of Warcraft came out in 2004. 13 years ago now.
13 years. Holy
That's
crap.
crazy.
That is kind of
So World of Warcraft is an MMO, and basically, I mean, when I was playing it, when I quit, World of Warcraft was at its peak, and there were 12 million active monthly subscribers. Wow. So 12 million people logged into the same game, essentially. Now I think their numbers are down to around 5 or 6, but a new expansion just got announced, so more people will come back for a while, and it just ebbs and flows over the years. But essentially, it's this game where you pick a class, and we were kind of talking about it earlier. It's a lot like Dungeons and Dragons.
experiment with archetypes.
Yeah, experiment with archetypes maybe, and then you sort of, with MMOs in particular, the whole idea is around the social aspect, getting together with your friends and accomplishing goals together.
Mm-hmm.
And so when the game came out in 2004, there were a lot of people who thought that it was the best it ever was when it first came out. Like, they just remember this time where they played the ever-living shit out of this game because it was much more difficult back then. There's a lot more stuff you had to do. Like, it was just really like a hard game at that point. So flash forward 13 years and a new expansion comes out every 2 or 3 years. The game changed completely. Doesn't even look the same anymore, really. And people have been like really yearning for that original experience. So what they were doing was they were getting the old game client, like the old file, and then they were creating servers and then so this is all illegal because Blizzard owns the game.
Who's they?
people were just doing this
Yeah.
on their own.
Oh,
Just like
fans.
random people
Oh,
like
okay.
got together.
Oh, okay.
Groups of people who were interested in making this happen, basically. And it became it was like a phenomenon. Like Nostalrius, whatever it was called, shut down like a little over a year ago. And when it shut down, there were like 400,000 active users a month or something. It was something absurd, like just a crazy amount of people to be playing a bootleg version of a game. And this kept happening over and over, where Blizzard would send a company cease and desist, they would shut down, and then a few weeks later another one would pop up and people would like flock to that because they really wanted this. And Blizzard said over and over, we're never going to do this. Get over it.
Why?
You don't want this original experience. This was their comment. He said, I know you think you want vanilla servers, but you don't actually want that.
Don't tell me what I want.
Well,
That
this was the response.
Yeah, that was the
Totally.
response from the fans.
So they
From
had
the
this
players.
guy come out and make this announcement. The guy that said that, they had him come out to the stage and say,
That's funny.
guys, I'm sorry. We heard you and we're going to make this happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Blizzard is investing in nostalgia, essentially.
Yeah, and that was a big part of that was the main reason why they said they didn't want it, because it's like, look, you think you want this, but the reason why this game was so great was because of it was all the other shit going on in your life at that time that contributed to these memories.
Uh-huh.
So us just remaking the game isn't going to bring back that novel experience.
Right.
And he talked about it in terms of like Star Wars. Like if Star Wars, the originals were re-released today, is it going to get the same feeling to go watch it for the first time?
Uh-huh.
It's like, no, because
But people still go back and watch them.
right, those people will go back and watch
There's
it.
the option.
Right.
But even then, they watch the digitally remastered. They don't fucking watch it on Betamax when it looks like crap and the sound quality is shit.
So, in my memory, this has only happened one other time in the history of gaming. And it's RuneScape.
RuneScape does this. huh? They
RuneScape
never-
got re-released in 2007.
Yeah, because they never... Did they even ever shut down Classic?
So, yeah, I think they did, didn't they? And maybe somebody in the chat room can correct me here, but I think what happened was people got so pissed off at all the releases that RuneScape was making and wanted to play the original game that they petitioned the company to do this, and they did. And now their company's rule is, so I think they might have both clients running.
Yeah, 2 clients running.
And they poll the community and ask them what changes they want made, and the highest voted change sort of wins, and then they implement that, because a large complaint from the user base was that the changes that they were making were not what the players even wanted. And so I'm just really interested from a psychological standpoint. I mean, dollars and cents, Blizzard is going to be spending millions of dollars on this project. Millions, maybe tens of millions.
I'm sure they'll be getting money back.
They
Wouldn't
will.
do it.
They will. And so what I'm saying is they're betting on nostalgia. I mean, who wants to play a 12-year-old game?
But you were saying that.
I mean, I
people-
do, but I'm just saying, like,
There were numbers of people who were playing these bootlegged copies.
right.
So there's your proof.
I know it's proof, but my point is that we're in a age now. So in the gaming scene, there's a lot of retro stuff going on. You know, Nintendo's re-releasing a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of
Some the most
appreciation for
popular
these
games are retro, like Cuphead.
You're right. And I'm just really curious about that, because with World of Warcraft and maybe even these Nintendo games that are getting re-released, it's not about the experience. Mario's not that fun of a game, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Like Super Mario.
Yeah.
You mean with the one where he runs and
It's
like?
just like boing, boing.
Yeah, I mean-
I feel like that's funner than this.
You think so?
I think so.
I think it's boring. Like, I don't remember the last time I played all the way through Super Mario Brothers, because I got bored after the first level.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on Mario 1, but I mean, give me Mario 3 all day.
Right, but so my question is, if it's not about the game, what is the investment here? Like what? I mean, you kind of spoke to it. Like,
Well,
is it that I want to feel what I felt when I was sitting on my grandmother's floor, playing like 3 feet in front of the television when I was younger? Because it's not about the game. I'm not
Right.
having that much fun with it. You know what
well,
I mean?
I mean, with Mario, I couldn't tell you because I'm not going to play that.
Pitfall? You want to play some Pitfall?
No, like I don't want to play Pitfall. But
Tajira says that she thinks we give. Okay, so Tajira and her partner currently play World of Warcraft, and she says that they think they'd give classic servers a try. Not sure if she'd pay more for than a current sub. So that's another question. She's asking how they're going to do the pay model. I made the assumption that this was going to be included in the subscription, but I could see this being an added on like $5 or $10 a month. I would pay it too. I mean, I'm going to do this. We're raiding fucking Molten Core together. I hope you know that.
Yeah, we totally are. I'm way into it too. I mean, for me, it has a lot to do with the game itself. Unfortunately, the changes made to World of Warcraft.
Yeah,
I mean, I just did the game became much easier.
totally.
And when I played Vanilla WoW, I mean, I was already friends with people that talked about how easy it was, and they've only made it easier.
Yeah,
Because these are people that played games that were just brutal, like EverQuest,
yeah.
or like Ultima.
When you died, it penalized you.
When you died, you could lose levels. Like,
Right.
there was no.
That's unheard of these days.
Yeah, like so, those changes really turned me off to WoW. Although, I mean, to be honest, hearing that Tajira still plays, I'm like, I just got this hit of like, oh, I kind of want to load it up and see how it is. But I started playing other MMOs.
They raid.
That
I think
was
they
more
raid full
interesting.
time still.
Really?
Yeah.
There's other games
may
that I
not-
think were just more interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun. It's still fun to me. Like when Legion came out last year, I got it, and for 2 weeks, man, I was back. I mean, it was like back in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started the new class, the Demon Hunter, and I just sort of rolled through it, and it was a lot of fun. And then when I got to the end game, I was like, I'm not about to invest all this time that it takes to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not about to sit here and raid. I would love to do that on some level, and on another level, I know that if I take that step into like raiding again, there are going to be so many things in my life that I'm ignoring.
Yeah.
Because this is going to be what my life is now.
You know, I did that with the Elder Scrolls.
Alex, how you
Online.
doing over there?
Tuning you out.
Alex, is there something nostalgic from your life that you would like to come back that you can't access anymore? That would be a relevant way to bring you into this
That I
conversation.
can't access anymore. I mean, playing Diablo was kind of a flashback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it would be fun to play Diablo 2 again?
I just did, and it was fun.
No, that was
That
D3.
was Diablo 3.
Oh, I mean, it's the same shit.
It's not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
but-
kind of the same shit.
I
And
mean,
you
Enough.
said you
It's
used to
enough.
spend hours with your
Yeah.
sister.
Yeah.
I mean, but have you been like trying to boot up Diablo 3 since you played? So something's different, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Like it's not that same experience of you being sucked in like you were when you were a kid.
Is this guy spamming in our chat?
Yes.
Luckily, nobody in the Twitch stream can see this.
He has Rick and Morty
GTA mods.
Awesome.
Good luck with that, there, Death Gamer.
Hmm.
Lord of the Rings, actually.
Yeah.
I do really like that. It brings a lot of happy memories from my childhood.
So if you went into it now,
What do you mean?
like when you watch Lord of the Rings, does it create those same memories?
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Well, with that in particular, because I have lots of fond memories, but every time I boot it, try to like watch it, because they would watch all 3 movies like in one Saturday. And
Oh,
I've
really?
tried to do that since then, and I get like halfway through the first one, and then
No, things have changed. Things
I
have
just
changed.
turn it off, and I'm not into it anymore. Like
Yeah.
I can't recapture that same feeling.
Oh.
It's just tough
Is it tough?
for me. Like, when Lord of the Rings came out, it was just like a special time in my life that made it so much more enjoyable. Like for me, that was towards the end of high school. I had been playing Dungeons and Dragons, and then the movie came out. So it was like all this other stuff going on that made it so much more exciting. And now it just doesn't do it for me quite so much, which is why the people who made this game have been putting off doing these vanilla servers, because it's like, sure, we're going to give you this. Y'all are going to log in and play for like a week, and then you're going to get bored and be like, oh, you know what? I don't want to watch all 3 Lord of the Rings movies again.
Yeah. I mean, I do kind of see that.
I don't think this is going to happen, though.
I think
it's going to be a whole subculture within WoW.
I think it's going to be like, I think literally a 10th of the population is going to remain after a month of launch day on Vanilla WoW. If there's 1 million people that play, then at the end of the month, there's only going to be 100,000 active.
I disagree.
You think it's going to stay?
Yeah, because
relevant?
Nostalria's had like several 100,000 when it shut down. And that's not even accounting for all the numbers of people who just on principle won't break the terms of service. So like that's just 400,000 people who, first of all, have the technical know-how on how to install the original client and, you know, log into it's a really sketchy process. I went through it one time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And but that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of people that had like a craving for that. I think it's maybe bigger than you're giving it credit for. We'll see.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, all I meant to say was a 10th. Maybe it's 10 million people who play launch day.
You mean it's going to decimate?
Yeah, no, it's not going to get decimated. That'd be reduced by 1/10.
Right. It's going to decimate the current the live WoW subscribers.
Yes, it's going to decimate the live WoW subscribers. So, what other Blizz did we want to talk more?
Oh my God!
Blizzard stuff?
The new expansion's coming out. Alex is wanting to leave, but we're holding her hostage right now.
You know what? Maybe you guys can just continue like your
You'll
nerd
just
talk.
sneak
This isn't a
on
night
out.
for-
And I will literally just sneak out.
This isn't a night for After Dark. Give me 5 minutes to just go over the news, and then
Okay.
we can drop it.
Okay, sounds
And
good.
then Zach and I have been thinking about recording some gamer talk and some streams of Fortnite and PUBG during either the weekend or during the week. So we'll keep you posted on that going forward. But
Yeah.
I mean, just really quick, the WoW expansion, no joke. And maybe Alex is interested in this.
What?
So they came out with a cinematic trailer for the new game,
Mm-hmm.
for the new expansion. I cried, literally.
That's what you cried over.
Tears rolling down my
What
face.
was in the trailer? Like, what happened?
It wasn't even that something particular happened. The whole feel of the trailer just like tugged every string that was available.
Well, what was the feel?
I'm sitting like, I'm watching this like on my phone,
Yeah.
like minutes after it happened live. They posted it on YouTube,
Mhm.
and I'm like refreshing YouTube because I knew BlizzCon
I can
was
see the
happening.
emotion in your eyes right now.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm sitting in front of fucking Barnes and Noble, and I'm like, oh my God, it's the trailer. And they're usually like fun, and I don't get emotional when I watch them because they're just like really well done. And then like it started going, and I was like, oh,
Can we
like
watch it?
I feel something. Do you want to watch it?
Yeah.
Can we? Yeah.
I think we
watch
can
it?
only.
Hold on, before you do that, let me just kill
Yeah.
this guy.
Oh, sorry. Did I mess you up?
No, but you almost did.
Oh, she's red like you were last week. It's
Yeah.
almost the exact hue of your skin last week. So I think we'll have to watch it not on the stream
Oh.
because I don't know if that we can simulcast it like that, but we can do the audio.
Can't you just capture the window?
No, I'm saying like I don't think legally we can.
Oh,
Yeah, copyright stuff.
gotcha.
Legally,
Alright.
schmeegly.
So you want to pause?
We're paused.
Okay.
There is no pause.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So.
So
in the
while you're
lobby.
pulling that up, you told me that you were like maybe gonna cry from watching this thing,
Yeah.
and I thought you meant. I don't know. I booted up the opening ceremony of BlizzCon,
Yeah.
and I cried during that shit. So I haven't even seen the cinematic yet.
What is happening here? Is this the live stream?
Yeah, it looks pretty stalled out.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. What did you say?
I shed some tears during the opening cinematic. Not the opening. Oh, during the opening ceremonies of BlizzCon. Did you watch that?
Yeah.
With all the people sharing their stories? That got me choked up.
Oh my God, yeah. I
was-
forgot about that.
I got really choked up. It was all these people talking about how...
Were they employees?
No, they were
Just
just
gamers?
gamers talking about how video games have been part of their life for so long. And like
Aw.
sisters keeping touch through Diablo, actually.
Yeah, that was. I remember those two.
Or maybe it was Heroes. No, it was Diablo. I can't remember.
No, it was totally Diablo.
It was Diablo.
Oh no, it was
It
Heroes.
was Heroes, yeah, but
Yeah.
same difference. And then multi-generational, like these wife and this guy and his wife grew up with their parents being gamers and they're gamers and their kid's a gamer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just,
They do this intentionally.
oh, sure.
I always wonder about, like, even if they know what they're doing, but the way that they motivate people to play is really tugging on all of those things.
What I really liked about BlizzCon is that, and I've actually never watched any of it other than this time around.
Tajira said she had the virtual tickets
She had
just
the
who
virtual
watched all of BlizzCon.
What I really appreciated was that they were actually talking about community in a way that I really liked. Specifically saying that, like, if we're, like, if this gaming community can be an inclusive community,
Yeah.
then that can radiate outwards.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if it will or it won't, but I just really freaking like.
I think in my case it has. I
Has
think
it?
yeah. I made contact with a lot of people that held social locations that I was sort of against in my college years that I opened up to because of my relationship with them online.
I can see that.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I've definitely made a lot of efforts to just not be shitty when I'm playing online games with people.
I remember the conversation the night that I changed my view on same-sex couples adopting children.
And it was
I remember the
because of
night.
video
the
games?
It was because the person I was talking to was homosexual, and we were talking about. There was some article. You know, we're in Ventrilo. It's like one of those things.
So you're
where
in
we're just
Vent,
like
so
there
this is
all
a fellow
night.
gamer.
Right, fellow gamer.
Okay.
I raided with her for years. I tried to get her to watch recently. I don't think she's been watching the stream, but yeah, I just remember the night that she sort of explained to me what it would be like for her. And I remember sleeping on it, and I woke up the next morning, and I was just like, yeah, I don't like hate that anymore.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really incredible.
So I know that what they're talking about happens, and I don't know that it's necessarily the best place for it to happen, but if people are engaging in that way, then fuck it. Like, why not hold that view? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's one of the best ways to get someone on your side. I was just reading this article. I can't remember where it came from, but it talked about you need to get them and you need to communicate that we're in the same clan.
oh yeah,
Because if you're in the same clan as someone, you're likely to listen to their opinion a lot more. This came up with political stuff. That if you're trying to sway someone's political view, or at least engage in that conversation, the best way to enter into that conversation is to ally yourself with that person you have a different political view of. So at least in terms of gaming, that's how that worked. You and this friend of yours were allied. You became clans people through the
Guildmates.
game.
guildmates. Yeah.
Right, I'm guildmates.
Oh, clan. Yeah.
But in terms of social psychological, you're now in the same clan because you both game. So
Right.
you're willing to hear the opinion that is different than yours.
Yeah.
Now, without that, you might never have been able to hear it at all.
Maybe. Yeah.
At least maybe not from her.
Yeah. Not at that time.
Yeah. So
For sure.
that is one powerful way that gaming actually can facilitate that, because so many different people
Right.
are gamers.
I'm a believer.
I'm a believer.
All right, let's watch this.
You ready
shit.
to watch this? I can tell y'all when I started tearing up. I remember there was a moment now. Oh, it's already happening.
I'm already crying.
Ours is a cycle of hatred. Alliances forged and broken.
I have goosebumps right now.
We have paid the price for sharing this world. And we have forgotten what makes us strong.
Close ranks! Advance has won! Lordaeron will be ours! My king, we have her cornered.
Keep firing!
Okay, this is where I started to tear up, actually.
Okay.
And I can tell you why, I think. Because this exact scene happened in the first World of Warcraft cinematic.
Oh.
Or no, it was for the Burning Crusade,
Oh, really?
where the orc gets hit with arrows, and he goes down, and then the Blood Elf behind him resurrects him.
I don't remember that.
It's almost like a shot-for-shot thing, and I'm just realizing, like, they've been weaving in this whole nostalgia thing for this whole expansion.
Oh,
I think they've been
yeah.
planning this the whole time.
Interesting.
And they're like pitting everybody against each other again, and it's like getting it back to like fucking Terran Mill stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah. They're pitting the Alliance and the Horde against each other.
Push forward!
So who's even the enemy here?
They're fighting against each other.
Yeah, but that's like
Have you not watched this yet?
no.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I haven't watched it yet. No,
That
but
was
that's just the
actually pretty
thing.
crazy.
And all the other expansions, there's some new thing that's
Right,
gonna
that's it.
destroy
The enemy
everybody.
now is the Horde if
And
you're
this
Alliance, and if you're the
Yeah, so now
Alliance,
it's
it's
just
the Horde.
back to
Right, yeah. Oh, and there's like all these. This is why I wanted to talk about it, because there's a ton of changes. Like, there's no more PvP realms or anything like that. It's like you opt in, you go to a main city, you opt into PvP, and when you leave, you're in, you're what do they call it? Phased in or whatever? Phase instanced with other people who have done it. Yeah, it totally did, didn't it, Tajira?
No, that girl was fucking badass.
She's a
Wasn't
fucking
it?
like,
baller.
hell yeah.
she's
Yeah,
Bitch.
she's gonna make me switch over to the Horde for the next expansion, I think.
So, wow, there's a lot to
Wait,
talk
you
about.
guys,
haven't read
I
any
feel
of the
like
patch
you
notes.
really have stuff to talk about.
Are
I
you-
don't have
are you
anything.
bailing?
I want to leave. I'm tired.
Get the fuck out of here, then.
I
We'll
love
do
you
like.
guys.
You want to keep
Thank
talking?
you.
For a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, just not too much more. I haven't seen it.
I just want to say Are you shaking my hand?
Yep. It's been a pleasure.
to.
Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
We'll see you in the
bright
morning.
and early. I'll
Probably
be
fucking late, yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about the feelings that you have. about
Okay,
that.
great. Right, so there's like these rolling PvP things now
Okay.
where like Terran Mill is probably like opened back up, and that would be like a objective, and there's rewards from that. So like you queue up or you just show up, like you open your map and it shows you what things on the map are sort of under attack or whatever, and then you go to that, and whoever wins.
So there's no more like.
Oh, there's still
Warzone.
battlegrounds
Oh,
and
there's
everything.
Still battlegrounds.
Yeah. This is
But
in
just-
addition to it.
There's open world PvP, but you phase in and out.
Right. Oh, they've also added Warcraft 3 stuff to the game.
Like
Remember I told you a couple weeks ago that they were hiring for a MOBA person, and there was speculation that they were coming out with a mobile or an RTS thing. That's what they
Oh
were
right, a
hiring
new
for.
RTS.
And there was speculation that they were coming out with a mobile RTS.
Uh huh.
Well, it turns out it was for the expansion.
So
and
how they're adding
you're going to be in the
RTS?
game, and you're going to be collecting resources to build your buildings and stuff, like you would like on
So
the
there's
map
gonna
in
be
Warcraft.
RTS elements to the battlegrounds, or what?
Yeah.
Wow, that's exciting.
And each faction has a different starting island, and you're constantly attacking each other's islands and shit.
Wow.
So the Horde have found the Zandalar, so they're on a troll island, and the Alliance are on oh my god, Kulturas,
Okay.
which is Jaina's like homeland or whatever. That's always been talked about, but never in the game. And there's going to be like a lot of naval stuff because it's like islands and stuff. Oh, and there's this other thing where like you queue up, and the resource you're trying to collect for this whole expansion is called Azerite, and it's like, it powers you up and blah blah blah, right? But you queue up to go to these islands that have all these scenarios, and it's 3 people it's role agnostic, so you can just show up with whatever role that you are, and you have to do objectives, but at the same time that you show up, and there's like unlimited amounts of stuff, so there's a bunch of different islands that they've made, and there's a bunch of different things that can all happen randomly, so each time you do one it's different. But at the same time you land, the Horde lands as well, and you're each trying to like fuck each other's objectives up.
Dude, this is really complicated, and I haven't played this game in so long that I feel like.
I know. It's like maybe the biggest changes to World of Warcraft since, I'm going to say maybe Cataclysm, when they completely changed the world.
Which is where I lost it.
Right, yeah. And they say they want to get back to the roots or whatever.
I'm intrigued by this.
Oh, and fucking Teldrassil? You saw that, right?
Yeah.
Teldrassil's on fire.
I didn't see that, but.
Yeah, and we've basically taken over Undercity as the Alliance.
Is
I
that
say
what
we, I was Alliance.
Yeah, we're Alliance here. Let's be
Yeah.
real.
Okay. Come on.
Yeah.
They took Lordaeron back. Or at least it's so destroyed that it's indefensible now or something. So the start of the expansion is Teldrassil is unusable, so the Night Elves have nowhere to go. They basically had to come up with a MacGuffin to get because Sylvanas is the war chief now.
Yeah.
So they had to.
So what's the MacGuffin?
Well, the attack on the Undercity was a way to get her into Orgrimmar, I think,
Okay.
because they need her in Orgrimmar as the war
So you're
chief.
saying the attack was the MacGuffin?
Right.
Okay.
Because
I was
we've attacked the
confused about-
Undercity before,
I
and
was
she
confused
stayed there.
about what a MacGuffin is. Then.
Oh yeah.
I thought a MacGuffin was.
You've been some.
Oh,
someone.
I've been summoned. Well, I should play.
Okay, hold on.
So a MacGuffin. I thought a MacGuffin was an object that carries the plot.
Right. I may have used it incorrectly, but essentially, they had to come up with it seems to me they had to come up with a way to get Sylvanas into the Undercity because that's where she like belongs now.
Uh-huh.
And so, part of that was, yeah. Tygeira said that thing that I was talking about with the RTS elements is called Warfront, and it's like it's a whole separate thing. Like it's in the game, but it's like a battleground separate from Battlegrounds.
That sounds like a blast.
And they're like changing the honor system all up, and the whole thing is about PvP. But you can also like the thing where you land on the island with the horde. It's actually they've created AI that you can choose the difficulty. So it's like horde characters running around that look like characters, or that look like player characters, but they're AI. Or you can choose to play with actual PvP people.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So,
you're the first person I've like talked about this with, and I'm like super nerdy about it right now.
Yeah, no, I'm here with you.
It's like, it's I don't know. At one point they showed a world map, like if you just hit M in the game and the world map comes up.
Damn it.
And there were just all of these.
I was no help to this fella.
Poor guy. But yeah, there was just all these things on the map that you could go to in that moment, and there would be other players that are trying to kill each other for an objective.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, they're going to make the rewards good enough to make it worth people's while to go do this.
So it's
like open world. It's basically world versus world stuff now.
This is okay. This is different though than how it was in what expansion?
Classic?
No, Burning Crusade. They had and that one area that was all burnt to shit.
Hellfire Citadel.
Yeah, and there was map objectives that if you get it would help you level in that area. Isn't that what it would do?
Yeah, there were like PvP things there where you could like go and kill. I mean, they did this in Silithus back in the day too.
Did they?
And in Western or Eastern Plaguelands, maybe somebody in the chat can correct me on that. But yeah, this element was in the game before.
Okay.
And I think at times it was popular, but once the events for those things ended, people just stopped playing them. So it sounds like on some level they're making the whole expansion about this being a thing.
Well, this gets me way more intrigued because I'm chiefly just wanting to do PvP anyway.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's all it is. And it sounds like they're making it. So my concern with World of Warcraft in the past, like I said, because I was just a PvEer.
Mm-hmm.
If I wanted to get back into that, I'm playing unhealthy amounts of WoW just to raid a couple hours a week or whatever. But I think if they make at least the gearing easy enough, or even if I'm not like geared out, if it's fun enough for me to just log in once or twice a week and do my PvP weeklies or whatever it is, and I can still like, compete, I'm going to do that. I'm going to log in on the weekends, maybe like before I play PUBG or something. And like,
as long as it's just not too much of a time sink.
Yeah. If it's not too much of a time sink, I'll give it a shot. But if it is, all I'm going to do with this expansion is buy it, level up, and then fucking never play it again until 2 BlizzCons later.
God damn it.
So.
Yeah. I don't know. It's tough. I mean, I kind of like the time sink. Like that's part of the fun.
Yeah. Well, that's what the classic servers are for.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just wondering, like...
I mean, it's World of Warcraft. there are as many sinks of time that you want in that game. I'm just saying, for the people who don't want the sync, are there options? And they've been, on some level, that's what they've been doing since day one. This is why the game has gotten easier. They realize that the harder it is, the less people will play.
Right.
And the people who were playing the hardcore grew up, got jobs, had kids, and couldn't play as much. They wanted to keep playing, but they couldn't. So, you know, things like LFG came out, and then Looking for Raid, and it just sort of got easier and easier to not have to like band together on a difficult task.
Yeah, I mean, that is kind of appealing though, because if I could log in and play on the weekends and feel caught up,
Right.
then I would be more likely to play too. But it's kind of like when I did play, even if I was just doing PvP, it's like you still needed to do those dailies. like
Right.
if you didn't do the dailies, you weren't going to get anything.
Right. I can't do.
No, I'm not doing dailies anymore.
Oh my God, no! I can't turn this. I can't play games every day anymore. I
No.
just can't do it.
No.
I won't get anything done.
No, man, I don't want to do it either.
Yeah. At least while I'm in grad school.
Right. At least while I'm in grad school. I do have like a vision of a life where it's just like I wake up, I see a few clients,
Yeah.
come home to my beautiful wife who plays video games with me.
Yeah. So we're going to BlizzCon next year, is what
Going
you're
to
saying.
BlizzCon.
All right.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh,
hopefully we go
To Denver Comic Con.
to Denver Comic Con.
If anybody's interested, we are. There's potential for us to have a Push to Talk booth at the Denver Comic Con.
Here, if not a booth, then just some stage time to get our message out there.
With some stage time would be pretty awesome.
Stage time might actually be easier to come by than a booth.
Really.
I mean, we're looking at an hour in front of people versus the whole booth.
That's true. And I don't know how big the Denver Comic Con is.
It's pretty big. It's one of the bigger ones.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay. And I know the Denver Convention Center is fucking gigantic, so I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I would like a booth because being on stage in front of a bunch of people terrifies the shit out of me, and I don't know that I want to do that.
Yeah.
And I will if we're given that opportunity.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's down the line.
Totally. Yeah. Maybe May.
Could be.
But this is a
July.
far-fetched.
July is Comic-Con.
Oh, it is. They moved
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It was
so
May
it'll-
at one
It'll be
point.
July. We need... Yeah. It'd be great. It'd be great. We
Yeah.
would need more.
We need more of this under our belt.
Uh-huh.
And for those of you hardcore listeners that have listened since pre-episode 1, pre, we had 2 pre's before episode 1. I think Tajir has been there for every one of them except one. And basically, we're going to be upgrading the audio within the next 2 weeks. So if you're listening now, I'm closer to the microphone. It sounds much better. We've only had one mic this whole time. We're trying to get 3 people on the same mic, and it causes all kinds of weird problems. I've got the sound batting on the wall. It's just not doing enough, and it sounds like garbage.
And when we get in here, if we all just get in here like this, it's kind of like we're doing that old-timey crooning thing in the radio station.
What is crooning?
I don't know. When all the guys put their face right next to the mic, it just
See, she says, yeah, sounds good now.
sounds real good.
All nice and deep like.
Yeah, but this is getting a little weird.
Is it?
I can't look at you in the eyes when we're talking like
Okay. That's fine. Well, yeah, so we're going to be upgrading the audio soon. We're going to get some XLR mics. We're going, what is it? Not digital.
We're getting
Analog. We're going analog.
We're going analog.
We're going analog cardioid microphones.
We're getting some loot upgrades.
We are. One for each of us.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's going to let us produce some really good sounding content.
It might never sound as good as this sounds right here though, because it's just
Well, no, this is my
so-
goal.
So nice.
See, this is what I want. I want one of these for each of us. Oh, Tajir is letting us know that the links on Twitch still don't work.
Yeah.
We are aware, and we've been trying to contact our graphics guy. He did get back to me finally. Dude is swamped, but or at least this is what he tells me. I'm skeptical.
The struggle bus got stuck in the swamp.
Yeah, he's on the struggle bus. The hyperlink is wrong. Well, yeah, okay. So when you click on it, it takes you to the wrong thing, and it says the wrong thing. We're working out all the kinks, and we appreciate
All
the
the
feedback.
kinks,
Yeah.
You know, we're also, I love doing this, and it's time consuming. And there's a lot to juggle. I mean, school,
Yeah.
clients,
Yep.
work,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I think what we're doing here is working really well.
Mm-hmm.
And I look forward to when there's more time available to put towards this.
Hell yeah. Me too.
Mm-hmm.
Me too. And for those of you listening that are interested, we are moving to Mondays officially, at least for the foreseeable future. We're going to try this out for a while. So no more Saturday shows for a bit, unless it's just Zach and I playing Fortnite or something. And yeah, so Monday nights, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll go about 2 hours. I don't know what time it is right now. So we've gone about 2.5 hours tonight. Yeah, so
Thanks, Tajira.
thanks, Tajira. We appreciate that.
Do appreciate that.
Yeah.
Cody's coming back. Even if we have to drag him in here.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Cody wants to be a part-time guest on the show.
Yeah.
We've got a lot going on now. We're, like we said at the beginning of the show, we're MA candidates right now, and we're all in internship, and we still have classes, and I don't know, maybe we can talk at some point.
Other life stuff. I mean,
the difficulties
stuff
of
comes up.
becoming a clinician at first is like, wow.
It's very difficult.
Yeah, so Cody wanted to prioritize some stuff, and I think he'll be back, at least temporarily.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I want to go ahead and read our disclaimer. The hosts and moderators of this show are not providing therapy and/or therapeutic services. Advice given on this show is not an alternative to seeking professional help. The team behind Push to Talk is not responsible for any decisions viewers may make regarding their own mental health. If you or anyone you know are in need of immediate help, please call emergency services at 911 and/or call a crisis hotline near you. And the links to the crisis hotline can be found on our Twitch channel for sure, at www.twitch.tv/pushtotalkradio. We really do encourage you to reach out to those services if you're in immediate need and potentially in danger. Yeah. So with that, I think we're going to wrap it up for tonight.
Hey, can we play the song again?
Which one?
Well, we cut it off at the beginning.
The
Can we pull up?
Did you need
the
to say
song?
that?
It's fine.
Okay. The song.
The Push to Talk radio theme song.
Oh shit. Let me find it. Can you?
I don't know where it is on your machine.
It says it's here. I don't know where that is.
Can you just hit play? There is a play.
Oh, there's a play button? Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. We're going to
All right.
play music out.
Yeah.
Woo! See y'all next week, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Thanks for watching.